You know, what's your favorite opening scenes? A few people said like The Dark Knight, the Joker bank heist. Pretty good opening. I still think Nightcrawler was hotter than that. Not saying which one's the better movie, just, you know, what was, you know, the oh wow opening sequence, right? A lot of people mentioned Man of Steel, the Krypton sequence, which is one of my favorite sequences. But again, I gotta say, Nightcrawler, it was nothing like that Nightcrawler scene, okay? I'm trying to think of some other, Days of Future Past, X-Men Days of Future Past. That was like a oh crap opening sequence because they all got murked, right? So it's a pretty cool, like I said, opening sequences. Again, let me know what y'all thinking. But the thing to the story is they're saying
Let me give you more reasons to follow the homie Sil for the latest news, scoops and moves he's about to reveal. From coffee talks to special brews, I'm out of burgers for meals. A cup of bourbon with that tea that's about to get spilled. Like, what's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard. Yo, Sil, we need to know. The ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in. We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. Take out your pen and paper, sit down and take notes. Sil is the realest among imposters, scavenging cutthroats. So, what's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard. Yo, Sil, we need to know. The ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in. We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. One of a show. Let's go. Between DC and Marvel, they both have a startle. Disney's moving finicky, let's not mention Star Wars. All these movie execs be drunk off their power, disconnected from the fans in the ivory towers. What's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard. Yo, Sil, we need to know. The ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in. We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. When they keep making the same mistake, that's what you call insanity. They can't even acknowledge their self-inflicted calamity. What's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard. Yo, Sil, we need to know. The ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in. We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. One of a show, let's go. Scoop Senator, Coffee Talks, also covering analytics, making his own reviews, cause it's always been the critics. They clout chasers, money driven, repeating the latest gimmick. Come over to Sil Nation where true vision is given. Listen, what's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard. Yo, Sil, we need to know. The ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in. We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. Let's not forget Mikey's son, always special to the crew. From day one when him and Sil got together for special brew. What's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard. Yo, Sil, we need to know. The ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in. We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. One of a show, I guess I'll finish on this note. When the niggas go flip mode, they turn gremlins, I'm gizmo. Come from my people, my kinfolk. For them I ride for and kill for. With this till I'm skillful. it can really escalate till it all goes abysmal. What's the latest word? Yo, still, we need to know. Tell us what you heard. Yo, still, we need to know the ins and outs. Who's walking out, buying in? We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. I'm a watchman, forever vigilant, steady watching and listening, disciplined, militant, killing these dudes that started visiting. What's the latest word? Yo, still, we need to know. Tell us what you heard. Yo, still, we need to know the ins and outs. Who's walking out, buying in? We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. One of a show. Let's go.
What's good? What's good? Yo, we are finally back live. Much love to Still Nation. Man, I was on call like the whole last month. Like I had no free day at all. Now we back. We back live. I apologize for the missing time, but we're back talking about the latest in CBM and geek entertainment news, analysis. We're objective, we're nuanced. I see that's what the game is missing. People, we try to get away from all the fanboy wars, where everyone's so biased, getting all political about stuff. It's like, bro, we want to escape and talk about what we love to talk about. That's films, that's CBM, geek entertainment. If Zack Snyder's doing anything, we're going to talk about that. DC, of course, as well. Let's see. I think my mic's good. Yeah, my mic's good. Yes. Who's in the chat? Let's see. Who we got in the chat right now? Y'all showed up a little early today. We try to make Saturdays a thing now. My schedule changes a couple of times every year. So hopefully Saturdays can be the day. Hopefully this is the day that we can stay live, and we'll sprinkle some stuff in around the way. But we got several things to discuss today, man. I know the title, Paramount, are they going to swoop in and scoop up Warner Brothers? Man, there's some developments out there. Yeah, the schedule changes every month, bro. We're trying to do Saturdays, and I may hit some morning streams when I get a chance, but this is kind of the time we're circling, all right? So we'll see. And I did throw a members video out there about the Netflix situation. So again, I'm gonna make sure we're hitting everybody. Patreons, we're gonna be doing more with that. But like I said, latest developments of the Paramount situation. Also, Zack Snyder is still active. We got some latest news. We got some trailers we got to catch up on. Supergirl screening details. We're going to discuss that. And actually, I didn't title this in the video, but we do have a rumor roulette that we're going to throw to y'all today, Zack Snyder related. So, with rumor roulette, we try to just see what everyone's talking about. We try to dig up something about it, see if it's real, if it's not, if it's cap, if it's hot. All right. We see Mr. J in the chat. Real Talk Carlos was good. Marco, what's good with you? Shin, Hunter, Iggy, Jovic, what's good with your man? Let's see. Who's at the top here? That was Carlos. Okay, got you. Come on in, smash the like. Make sure you still subscribe. Definitely. Again, we got plenty to discuss. First off, as I said, for the goal of 2026 is, the what's coming up in films, box office battles, right? So we're getting close to the springtime where these films are going to start heating up. Super Mario, the Michael Jackson movie, etc. So that's definitely going to be on the radar. Coming up this year. And as we said, we got a rumor roulette today too. So definitely stay tuned for that. That's coming up a little later. What I'll probably do when I'm gonna do that, the rumor that's floating out there later, and we'll probably clip it and do like a separate video with that as well too. But I just didn't think I would have time to get through all of it today, but we're gonna do that rumor later. But so several stuff to discuss. Let's we got a Q&A question roulette, right? Who do you want to own WBDC? Now, usually, I don't want to say how the other polls have gone, but I will say on Twitter, they seem to always lean towards Paramount. We'll see what YouTube does today, though we did ask this question before, but interesting developments, right? So let's just get going because, like I said, we got several stuff to discuss. Before I get to, we got again some trailers, we got some DCU news, Zack Snyder, obviously. Real quick, let me throw this up here real quick because again, it's been a while. So I want to make sure I'm catching up on some stories here. If y'all haven't seen yet, Wonderman, I gotta just do a brief shout out of the Wonderman series. You know, again, this is how long I haven't streamed, I think, since this show came out. This here, as it says, it's the cure of superhero fatigue. It's a love letter to the craft. This may be Marvel's best streaming show that they've done. This actually may be, as far as just quality, writing, acting, not a lot of action. It's just a good story. And it's just some great performances. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, I owe this dude an apology because he killed this. And old dude, the Slater dude, whatever that fake Mandarin dude, they ate up this show. Really enjoyed it. Do yourself a favor. If you have any free time, if you have Disney Plus, or if you watch it by other means, check out Wonderman. Again, it's about the genre, CBM Geek. I'm here for the genre and what's good for the genre. And Marvel almost messed up and didn't even do this show. And I think they messed up. They should have released like half of the season, allow people to talk about it for a week, and then do the second half. They just dumped it all out at one day. People was like, oh, does that mean it's trash? I mean, they even, like, okay, recently, Ironheart, they had the Ironheart show, right? And Wonderman is miles better than Ironheart. They even separated the release of Ironheart and allows it to breathe. And, they should have did this with Wonderman. It's just a total fumble. They could have really capitalized more, like I said, on this show. And really the only way Marvel can capitalize on this is making more content like this. And not, less She-Hulk, less destroying the finales of like WandaVision and things like that. This is a really good show. So I can't say it enough. Check out Wonderman. If you love the genre, that's what we're talking about. So interesting stuff there. Real quick, James Gunn has, I guess, is debunking stuff like he tries to do, though half the time when James Gunn debunks something, it ends up being true. So this is really a weird we have a weird relationship when James Gunn speaks out, because it doesn't always, it's like you have, these people that wants to like do engagement posts and stuff on Twitter, and they put out fake rumors and stuff like that to get engagement. That's one side of this, but then you have James Gunn who just continues to lie. So it's like, who knows which side is telling the truth? But the first one on the top left, it was a story about basically James Gunn supposedly was fast tracking the Matt Reeves Batman epic crime saga to get that, because I always heard it was a trilogy, that Reeves has a trilogy idea. Now, of course, the film has to be successful, because Todd Phillips had a trilogy idea for Joker, and we see what happened with that. But I still say Joker 2 is actually a good film, but we're not going to fight. It's been a while, so we're not going to fight about that right now. But the rumor was James Gunn was fast tracking the Matt Reeves Batman crime saga to finish it up before he does Brave and the Bold. And Brave and the Bold is really a film that's I feel is in limbo, just like the Wonder Woman DCU film, because it probably won't be greenlit until the Warner Brothers sale is done. So, are they really going to go? Because, like I said, I feel this is the scenario. I want to make sure, like the backdrop, when I talk about the uncertainty of James Gunn's DCU, my take on it is no matter what happens, I think Warner Brothers overall wants David Cornsweet Superman. So I think even if Gunn is not there, that Cornsweet is going to get a few more films or something like that. Let's say they want to pivot away from what Gunn is doing. Worst case scenario for Gunn, Man of Tomorrow doesn't make enough over Superman 2025. Then Gunn is out. I know there's a rumor about if Supergirl doesn't do good enough, that could determine Gunn's fate. I'll kind of pick up on that that's a separate rumor out there. I'm not really going to discuss that right now, but it's all about Man of Tomorrow for James Gunn to keep his job for the new owners. And that's only if Netflix closes this deal. If Paramount comes in and steals this, that throws a monkey wrench in everything. So we're just assuming, let's say Netflix gets this done. Then Man of Tomorrow has to perform, right? Then it is going to be up to the new owners, if it's Netflix, to determine, do we want to go forward with this Brave and the Bold? Do we want to, do this Wonder Woman idea? So that is in limbo, right? But so that was a rumor that he was fast tracking. So they asked Gunn here on the top left, can you debunk the Daniel RPK report of you fast tracking the Batman trilogy for DCU Batman? Now, Daniel RPK, just to throw it out there, OGs of the channel, y'all know 2022 was pretty crazy with a lot of reports I was putting out there because of the sourcing that was pretty close to $7, The Rock, Henry Cavill. And I put out the report of Batfleck in Aquaman. And I'm just putting context out here. Daniel RPK came out and tried to debunk me. And then Jason Momoa confirmed me. So I'm just going to say that. Now, James Gunn says, I don't know what that is, but I'm not fast tracking anything other than our scripts currently getting ready to go into production. So basically he's saying there is no script for the Batman Part 3. And knowing Matt Reeves, he doesn't have a script ready for that. He barely got Part 2 in before this deadline or wherever they want to get a window to make this Reeves Batman Part 2 to capitalize on the Penguin. And then again, assuming Netflix wins this, Netflix wants to get a Penguin season 2, but I guess another story. So that was a real weird rumor anyway, saying he wants to fast track Matt Reeves. That will really push Brave and the Bold DCU Batman to like 2030, 31. Gunn may not be there. And people got to start realizing this too. Even if Gunn stays on with Netflix after Man of Tomorrow comes out, let's say Man of Tomorrow does good, and Gunn still will be able to stay. He may only stay for a couple more years, and then they may transition someone else in anyway. So just keep that in mind. Gunn's not going to be here for 10 years doing DC. I just want to throw that out there. So, but as far as, again, fast tracking Matt Reeves Batman, Gunn is saying basically, no, there's no fast track because there's no script, right? The bottom left says, is it true that we're not getting Brave and the Bold until Matt Reeves finishes his trilogy? He says nope. So I saw that rumor floating around. I would have discussed it if I had a chance. So Gunn is saying there's still a chance for a DCU Batman to show up concurrently with Matt Reeves' crime saga going on as well too. So, okay, I'll believe it when I see it. Okay, this Brave and the Boat again. I'm not too confident in this Brave and the Boat film. I'm just not. It's not a lot of traction with this. So maybe both sides are lying here, Daniel RPK and so we'll see. Another story is a true Paradise Lost on the far right here. Is it shelved? I did see again that rumor floating around, and that was another one I was going to address, but Gunn has addressed it. He says definitely not. Says, geez, I go on Threads for the first time in weeks, which I think is a lot. And it's just one insanely wrong thing after the other. What's going on? First, I don't believe Gunn goes weeks without going online. So just, this is what I'm saying. I think Daniel RPK has some wrong information, and I think James Gunn is lying. So it's... what do we do in these situations? Everybody is lying. Let's catch up with the chat real quick. I said a lot with this first slide. Let's jump back here. Let's see here. We'll talk about Michael in just a moment for sure. I'm looking forward to that film. Wonderman's a cool show, but not a good superhero show. So this is my pushback on that, Shin, is I think this is like the quintessential. He's trying to hide his abilities, and it is about his arc, right? I think it's one of the smartest superhero shows I ever seen. Wonderman. I had the lowest expectations. Like, I remember when they dumped Echo. If I remember a couple years ago, Disney dumped it on Hulu, which is Disney Plus, basically. The Echo show. The first episode was like a highlight reel, and you saw Daredevil pop in. I'm like, oh, Echo could be decent. You know, I had some expectations, and it just went downhill. That's one of the worst shows, one of the worst series Marvel has done. Echo. We didn't need that story. And it's not even if we didn't need it, it just wasn't executed well. Because it's not like we needed Wonder Man either. But it was executed well, and I appreciated Wonder Man for what it is. And the replay value is great because you kind of catch nuanced things on repeat. So I just say, Shin, I mean, it's a cool show, like you said. I think it's a great show, one of the best written shows that I've seen in this genre. It's not your, punch 'em up superhero show. So if that's what you was looking for, yeah, you'll probably be disappointed, but it's a story. It's a story. The beef is over. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. Because OGs, y'all know, I have not been a fan of this dude. I thought he overacted as Black Manta and Aquaman. I think he just showed up to get a check for Aquaman 2. I just think he phoned it in. And then he did the Candyman. Wasn't a fan of him in that. It was just a streak of films. I was like, this dude, he's unserious out here. And then he locked in for Wonder Man. Like, I cannot front. Cannot front. No She-Hulk talk. Okay. We won't talk about She-Hulk. Final episode of Wonder Man was really, really good. Very satisfying finale. It was just a very smartly written show. Because you think things kind of climax at the beginning of the final episode, and then they put you into him, he's studying for a role, he's shadowing someone, but really he was, there was something else going on. So yeah, that was some good stuff. That was some good stuff with that. Most of these debunks are true. That's what I'm saying. But see, like I said, in this case, I think both are wrong. I think Daniel RPK had wrong information, and I think James Gunn is lying. So it's just we're all over the place with these, man. Do you think Paramount closes shop on GunnVerse? So okay, so yeah, that's actually a good question because again, my take on that was if Netflix gets this done, and we'll talk about some evidence. We got a lot to talk about with Paramount and Netflix today. So I was always assuming, oh, Netflix will find a way. Now I'm kind of questioning this now. This is the first time because the whole time when Netflix came in 11th hour and they came out with a deal, and I was like, oh man, I'd rather Paramount, but if Netflix is going to get it done, then okay. And I was like, Netflix will figure it out every corner. Now I'm really doubting it now. So if Paramount jumps in, I think Gunn is done. I do believe that. I do believe if Paramount comes in, and when I say Gunn is done, I'm not saying like immediately. I'm saying Man of Tomorrow, and it has to do good. This is if Paramount gets this, okay? This is my theory. Man of Tomorrow still has to outperform Superman 2025. And then I think Gunn will get another film to kind of wrap up his arc, his Superman saga, if Paramount gets this. And again, Man of Tomorrow has to perform. If Man of Tomorrow doesn't perform, he's out either scenario. And when I say perform, I mean, again, it has to do better business than Superman 2025. I think Gunn has a better chance with Netflix because they're less hands-on. They've already came out and said that. Paramount was already recruiting DC talent. So they already have an idea how they want to pivot things. So, yeah, I think Gunn, again, if Man of Tomorrow does decent, then I think Gunn will get one more Superman saga film, and then I think Paramount's going to do its thing. They may, again, keep Corn Sweat. I think Corn Sweat will still be Superman for the foreseeable future, though. I do believe that. So it's a lot to get through with that. It's a lot to get through with that. So let's jump down here because we want to go forward because I got plenty to discuss with this Netflix stuff. Let's see. Oh, we got some ads. Yeah, some live ads now. That's funny. It's funny. These ads. That's wild. Yeah, the chemistry between was it Simon and Trevor was amazing. All right, let's answer this and then we're gonna go forward here. You think both would do a crisis type film, bringing both worlds together? If you're talking about Snyderverse, I think it's a better. I don't see Netflix doing that. Paramount makes things very interesting for a theatrical side. Overall, I see Wild Relic in the chat. So yeah, so let's and we'll get more into that in just a moment here. With that, so interesting, I guess, debunkings by James Gunn, supposedly. Let's make sure we covered everything before we go forward. So yeah, just briefly, yeah, with DCU. I would say coming into this year, 2026, you know, I had high hopes, and I still have high hopes for DC, for comics, animation, gaming, you know, all that stuff, and live action entertainment. I still, you know, think there's a lane. Supergirl trailer came out, first look. Lobo, I'm hearing they have low expectations for Supergirl, meaning, you know, they're trying not to put any pressure on the film. That's the best way I can say it with Supergirl. And it likely will get Black Adam numbers, but they're going to justify. They already put this after I came out with that. You saw that report came out. They was like, oh, yeah, we only spent $100 million on it. Because I was hearing they were going to spend this just like with Superman 2025. I was saying that a year before Superman came out. I said, hey, this is the number, $500 million. And then that was confirmed. So, and they got over 600. They're happy. Man of Tomorrow has to do more. Supergirl is a different story. Supergirl is, hey, low expectations. We didn't spend a lot. So if it ends up getting 400 million or less, they're going to, I'm just telling you, they're going to say, hey, we did what we need to do. Now, if it colossally bombs, and I'm talking about like 200 million, barely getting 300, then yeah, heads will roll. I don't see that happening. I think it will get around Black Adam numbers, and they will be like, okay, hey, we'll just kind of go forward. Lanterns on HBO Max. We'll see how that lands. And then Clayface, low budget DC horror film. They're going to, they're going to make a profit off of that. So this year is kind of a low risk year for live action DC. It's all about Man of Tomorrow. And we'll talk more about that in the near future. So yeah, comics is the greatest thing. The DC comics is the greatest thing right now. Gaming, you got Lego Batman. So I think there's going to be some good stuff. And you got some animated films coming this year for DC. Batman Nightfall. I'm going to be all over that when that comes out as well. It looks like they spent 90 million. Amazing. But yeah, just like, always on this channel, I'm always going to cover DC. And we're going to just see what it does overall. Some of my reviews will end up either on YouTube members here, or it'll be on the Patreon link in the description. Sylabdul, or it's patreon.com/sylabdul. Got some exclusive conversations over there as well. You'll be notified properly where to go, where to get the content, but we're going to be covering a lot this year. So not a lot of confidence in Lanterns here. As he says, I'm hoping it will be good, but I wanted a not grounded Lanterns. Yeah, you want a cosmic, which we all want. So the only reason they went grounded is because WB is poor. They definitely wanted to keep the budget down on Lanterns, and I just don't know if that was the right choice. I agree with you. Can we get like Wonderman level execution? That's the only thing that's going to save this Lanterns series, because it's going to be a slow burn. Though I did hear you're going to get some cosmic stuff, but are people going to be on board by the time you get to the end of the series and you get to see, possibly Oa? This better be a well-written and executed show, but we'll be covering it all. So, and it has a chance. So we'll see. So that's the DC of 2026, for better or worse. Okay, so since we're on the topic of the DC, let's just go ahead and jump on this real quick. There is some. We're talking about Supergirl. And again, I told y'all I always get this stuff a year before these films come out. After the film is shot, that's when I get more of the performance and box office forecasts. Now, what we learned from Superman, James Gunn Superman, is that you can't really guess the global number anymore. Global is very volatile. We'll lean on domestic numbers more going forward, but I remember when it was over a month ago, I put that report out there about Supergirl that I'm hearing, again, Black Adam expectations. And a lot of people just totally scoffed. They're like, oh my goodness, like, you want Gunn to fail, sylabdul, but they don't realize, like, here, I'm just about the information. I could tell you what I want for these films and for the genre overall, especially DC. I want DC to be great. And if it's not looking great, I'm going to have a problem no matter who does the film. Of course, if Zack does it, it'll be great. So I don't want Supergirl to fail. I think David Gillespie, or is it Craig Gillespie, director, I think he made a good film. I just don't know if the Gunn notes chopped it up. Craig Gillespie said he made an anti-hero film. And this is what I've been hearing going into filming for the Supergirl film. And so that's why I was telling y'all last year. I was like, oh, because what I was hearing with Supergirl, I was like, oh, no, I don't know about Superman or whatever Gunn is doing, but Supergirl is going to be it. And then that first trailer came out, and I was like, oh, this ain't the film I was told about. This is I don't know, what they're really trying to sell, with this film. So my hype was definitely up there, with Supergirl. But then again, seeing this trailer, I had to pull back a little bit, just kind of lower my expectations just a little bit. Then hearing the numbers, I'm kind of just like, okay, this is not going to have the marketing push that even Superman had a big marketing push, because it's Superman. You're selling the shield and you're selling Superman. Supergirl's not going to have the same advertising tie-ins and the push, right? So just tempering just a little bit. But as far as the expectations for it, I had a report about it, what they're expecting for Supergirl, or as far as what the what we call that, the screen tests, what was being said about Supergirl. Let's see, do I have that report? Could be a L, could be a good L right here. I think I'll just say what I heard, because I don't think I have the report to pull up. Okay, I do have a few things here. So if people were concerned about, it's a blink and you miss it, Lobo pops up in the trailer, that was more of just teasing it. Diehards, of course, we know Lobo's in it. We know the character. General audience has no idea. So they had this whole Lobo reveal, which again, I thought it was okay. It could be some nitpicking, so I understand different opinions with that. But it is being said Lobo has a larger role than you think for this film. And this is why I go back to the marketing side of this with DC Studios and their marketing and really just their decisions. If you know Supergirl is not on the level of Superman, we all know this, you're not going to get the same response to Supergirl that you got with Superman globally. And Superman didn't really crush it globally. So Supergirl is going to make less. You had an opportunity to do a Superman and Lobo marketed film, like call it Supergirl and Lobo, starring Jason Momoa and Millie Alcock. And I just think you could have pushed Supergirl better. Now we're hearing with these screen tests that Lobo is definitely in it more than people thought. Because initially people were saying, oh, he pops up a couple of times. No, he is in it for a good chunk of the film or pivotal moments. So that's one thing. Another thing they said, that the look of Supergirl. Okay, so it's in this context. Some people had issues with how Superman looked, the film, the cinematography. I'm gonna be honest, like maybe if you pause it at the wrong time and it kind of looks weird, Superman, I didn't have too much issues with how Superman looked, but they're saying Supergirl's tone and the cinematography and just how it comes across, it looks more like sort of like Fantastic Four, just the aesthetic of Supergirl. So if you saw Superman looks a little more colorful, a lot of lights and stuff popping, and I think it works for what it's trying to do, Superman. Supergirl is more the aesthetic of kind of like, again, that layer that you kind of saw in Fantastic Four. So that's interesting. That's being said about that. Now, according to the early screen tests, is that they're showing the cut that Craig Gillespie was wanting to make. The cut that I was hearing before they even filmed it, that they was trying to do a darker type of film, a more serious type of film. And so the screen test that they're showing for Supergirl, that they're saying this is the darker film that Craig Gillespie wanted to make. Again, will the final cut be this? I don't know. I don't know. Right? We're going to see. I mean, Superman started out kind of like an episodic story where it was like, a day in the life of Superman, like Superman for All Seasons, the comic. Whereas, Monday, this is what Superman goes through. Tuesday, it was going to be title cards. That was the structure of Superman. Then they changed it to make it more of a linear story. So these films can change. My point is that these films can change before we see it. So no matter what we're hearing with these screen tests, we've been through enough rodeos with this, right? With these screen tests on these films. I mean, goodness, you had a version of Aquaman 2 where Ben Affleck showed up at the end, and that didn't make the final cut, right? So no matter what they're saying with these screen tests, it's subject to change. I hope this is the tone. I hope this is the cut, because this is all I've been hearing. That trailer doesn't sell what we're hearing about these screen tests. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's see what we're saying in the chat here. Interesting stuff here. As far as with Green Lantern, why would you ground characters? They are literally a definition of cosmic space cops. Yeah, saving money. Saving money. The last Green Lantern set in space. Well, I mean, they traveled in space a good, not the entire film. The Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern film, which it's not a great film because I hate the villain. When Parallax takes over the big head dude, that's the weakest part of the film. And then third act mess at the end, CGI mess. But Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern is, it's a good portion on Earth, and he goes up to Oa a couple times, but it's not a purely cosmic film. Like the end fight is not a cosmic fight. It's really more Earth based, right? So, I mean, they go up to the sun, but you could do that with lanterns. And that's the extent the show is going to be, where it's mostly going to be earthbound in a specific town for a specific reason. There's an inciting event that sets the Lantern series in this small town. And then they want to kind of ground it, and then they want to take it cosmic by the end of the series. So we'll see if they accomplish that. But yeah, the Ryan Reynolds film wasn't all in space. And for those coming in, smash the like. Make sure you subscribe. We're going to talk the Paramount Netflix stuff in a little bit. We're going to talk Zack Snyder not stopping. We also have an interesting rumor, and I'm treating it totally as a rumor, of some Zack Snyder activity. So we're going to talk about that in just a little bit here. So lock in. Supergirl tone is not looking dark if it has the Gunn oversaturated look with the bright colors. To try and contrast with that look, which makes the movie look very light tone. Yeah, and like I said, just the test screens are saying it's a darker look. We will see. We will definitely see. If you turn the sound off, Supergirl's trailer actually looks like a good Snyderverse movie. And again, it's that saturation look. That's why I said Fantastic Four, because that's more recent. But Fantastic Four could have easily been, that Snyderverse tone as well. And Fantastic Four is a pretty serious film. Like I said, Marvel, they're stumbling into, some wonderful stuff with Wonderman, with Fantastic Four. Now you got Avengers coming out, Spider-Man. So Marvel is course correcting things. They just got to, not mess it up. And Supergirl, I do think the tone, the cinematography looks pretty good. And if you're comparing it to Superman, I do like the Supergirl tone better. But the trailer, I'm not a big fan of the trailer. I just, what film are they selling? Yeah, the big head dude and lanterns. Yeah, and Green Lantern. Ryan Reynolds, Green Lantern. So, some interesting stuff. So that was a little DCU update. What we're hearing for these test screenings. Not bad, not bad. So, we will see. Let's see. Okay. Let's go. We got some trailers. Let's hit up a couple of trailers real quick. And then we'll get to some more stuff. Actually, okay, we're still on DCU. So Momoa, after the Lobo reveal, which was some mixed feelings on it, he has a sound bite here. What's up, Fernando, in the chat? Let's throw this up real quick. Momoa talking about James Gunn and Zack Snyder. Interesting topic overall. Let's see.
I think they're very different because it's also different characters. I came in.
He's talking about the difference between obviously Lobo, or he compares James Gunn's plans for Lobo to Zack Snyder's for Aquaman. Now, in this shot here, Lobo looks pretty good. Again, that first look that we had of Lobo, you know, he riding up on the bicycle, and you get a good flash of him. I thought it looked decent. And then, of course, with anything, if you pause it and kind of look at it, it's like, is the texture of the white supposed to be? So you can nitpick anything. This shot right here looks pretty good on the bottom of his Lobo. And again, hearing that he's going to be more in the film than initially people were saying, that's a good choice.
On like a wisp of an idea on Batman vs Superman until Justice League hit. So I mean, it was all pretty mapped out by Zach. He had it all very mapped out. So I only know Lobo's in this one, and so we'll see what the future of all that holds. You know, I would love for his own thing to be coming out. I don't know if there is. I think it's probably up to the audience and how they feel about it. But I think he's got his own things mapped out, and I'm not privy to any of that. So I mean, James.
Just to say real quick, they very diplomatic by Momoa. I got an old video on my short form channel, sylabdul Geek, here on YouTube. This video was, I think it was the end of 2021, 22. When was Gunn hired? 22? It had to be 21. Yeah, so the end of 2021, as soon as Gunn got hired, so that'd be 2022 then, right? Okay, I think it's 2021. So anyway, Black Adam. When Black Adam came out, and it had to be 22. The point is, when Gunn was hired, Momoa was pretty much hired instantly because of Peter Safran, right? So yeah, it was 2022. So they were planning a solo Lobo project, or it was an idea as soon as Momoa was hired. So he's being diplomatic, saying, I don't really know the plans. If Gunn's plans goes forward, you're going to get your Lobo. It could end up being a film, because everyone's being a little more cost conscious now in the CBM genre. And the reason for that, I mean, obvious reasons, you want to make sure you have a profit. The international market isn't what it used to be. And then you saw what happened when Marvel tried to just roll out the C-list Thunderbolts or New Avengers. Captain America Brave New World was too sauceless. So it's like, okay, we're not spending $200 million on these films if the people aren't really going to show up for it. That's across the genre. So Lobo, no one knows this character, right? Us diehards, yes. The geeks and nerds, we know, Lobo, and we know these other characters, but you got to think about how you're going to sell this stuff. And it's going to be hard enough to sell Supergirl. Now you want to do a solo Lobo film. It may end up being a series. Right? Is the point I'm trying to make. If it even happens. Momoa don't know the plan because Gunn don't know the plan. The plan changes. Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. No, I agree with you on that. They can have an idea, but then if people don't show up for Man of Tomorrow, things really gonna change. And then vice versa. If Man of Tomorrow does it, Gunn's gonna get at least another film after that if Man of Tomorrow does well. So we'll be watching that closely. Plastic Man movie that would be absolutely hilarious. Seeing an R-rated Plastic Man movie with him disguised. Yeah, I would love to see a Lobo series, and you can keep it low budget, and they can really set up his character being a cosmic character. Someone on a different planet. You could do some stuff. I mean, you got Jason Momoa, so that will sell a series. But if he really stands out in this film, I just don't know enough people are going to see this Supergirl film. They want to do it theatrical, but it depends on the performance.
His career is just equal to like what Zack's done, what they built, and what their worlds are.
No, let's jump back here because I guess it was a controversial quote here.
To like what Zack's done, what they built, and what their world and how they feel about it. But I think he's got his own things mapped out, and I'm not privy to any of that. So I mean, James's career is just equal to like what Zack's done, what they built, and what their world.
So according to Momoa, he's saying what James Gunn is doing, or at least mapping out for DC, is equal to what Zack Snyder has done, or it has, initially what he mapped out. We know Momoa. This is kind of my take on this. I don't think people are taking this as controversial, of course. And obviously you have your different sides of this, so I get that. Jason Momoa is the ultimate soldier. So he's going to, he got the job. He got the Lobo job. So he's going to talk up Gunn, even if, to be fair. But let's just, let's be real. Okay. Superman 2025, 614 million, right? Man of Steel, what was it, 670? So, I mean, that's just the reality of it. Now, again, different landscape of international box office. And I get it. But, for James Gunn to equal what Zack Snyder has done for DC, James Gunn needs a BVS level type film. Whether you like BVS or not out there, right? Whether you want to nitpick it 10 years later. It's been 10 years since BVS came out, 2016. I remember like yesterday going to the theater, late night, early screening, and just seeing that on the big screen, seeing Batman and Superman together on the big screen, seeing the Batman warehouse scene on the big screen. And again, we know BVS, despite people hating it, it made money, over 870 million, right, in the box office. Crushed it as far as physical media, digital sales. They sell toys off of it, they figures and everything. Gunn needs Man of Tomorrow needs to be BVS level. I'm just gonna say it. Because I know Momoa just doing a company line here, but for Gunn to even touch what Zack Snyder has done DC level, Man of Tomorrow has to crush it. Now, my number for Man of Tomorrow is still 700. That's what I haven't heard any early numbers with it yet, like I'm hearing with Supergirl. But I'm thinking Man of Tomorrow has to pass 700. And if that's what it does, that's still not BVS level, to me. So, but I get, Momoa is just trying to toe the company line. We get it.
They're amazing directors, world building, So I'm pretty excited. When I got to step into Lobo, that was a pinch me moment, buddy. And my first scene is pretty gnarly. I'm pressed to see another actor kind of pull off that first take, what we did. I'm excited to talk about it because it's hard. And I'm grabbed it with gusto, and I'm very excited about it. And yeah.
So yeah, like I said, I'm looking forward to the Supergirl film. I hope it keeps the tone. that they're claiming that it has, and we'll see. We'll see what it does overall here. So interesting. That was kind of the DCU update here. So we're gonna go forward. For anyone that was muting this during the DCU stuff, we're gonna go forward now with this. Yeah. So yeah, we got a couple trailers. Let's get these trailers out here. Let's see here. We got Masters of the Universe. Let's get this together here. Now, they had the first trailer that came out for Masters of the Universe. And now this is just like a little updated look. Masters of the Universe, He-Man. That first trailer was great. I think we watched it live on one of my Saturday shows, afternoon shows. So this is another look. I mean, they already sold this to me, right? It's like, it's really ain't nothing. They don't have to show nothing else, in my opinion, for this film. I don't know what the early forecast is for this. If there's even, I don't know if I had anything. Let's see. Let me check real quick. If there's any box office expectations. It's really early because I don't think this comes out. When's this come out? I think it's like late summer. Let's see if there's any predictions out there. Let's see. They now this is through Amazon MGM. Now, what I did hear, they definitely spent some money on this film. So, like probably close to 200 million, or I would say at least 150 that they spent for this Masters of the Universe. See, what's the release date on this? It's the middle of June. Okay, so the beginning of June. So June 5th, this comes out. This ain't a cheap film, so it definitely needs to get like 400 or 500 million. Yeah, I mean, yeah, is it a chance? Yeah, it just, they got to be really careful. Hopefully they didn't overspend, but this film looks good, in my opinion.
Take the sword, you protect them.
Battle Cat. I said that sells it. The He-Man versus Skeletor, that sells it for me. That sells the film for me, and it looks like they spent some money on it. Just looking at this trailer.
Masters of the Universe, only in theaters June 5th.
Yeah, June 5th. So like I said, early expectations, or there's not really no forecast out there, but this needs to make some decent money. And I hope, I'm pulling for Amazon MGM. I'm pulling for that because they got the Voltron coming out as well. No date on that with Henry Cavill. My last show I did, we talked about his role. It's out there, what he is in the film. So I'm hoping they didn't spend too much, and I'm hoping they make the money. It looks good though. Yeah, a few of y'all saying it looks good. He's a little small. Well, he'll buff up. Like this fight scene here, I think he, looks the appropriate build. Not judging, dudes out here like that, but I think he looks okay. I think he looks okay. You think it should be at least 500? Yeah, 500 million. Yeah, I'm leaning towards, it needs to make like 400 or 500 million. I'm definitely leaning towards that. So I agree with you on that one. So so we got what, Masters of the Universe there. We got a couple more. We got a couple more trailers here. Let's throw this up here. Spider-Noir or Noir. Or what do they call it? Are they calling it Spider-Noir? I think they have Spider in the title.
Tell me why.
You already know how it ends.
Well then,
Dude, like, again, this and people wonder why I'm so hard on DC and their marketing. It's like, this is how you sell stuff. Like, we just saw Masters of the Universe. They come right out. He-Man versus Skeletor. Sold. Right? Spider-Noir. And Nicolas Cage got a weird voice going on here. So that's one thing. This shot, there's another shot later, the money shot. I'm sold.
start from the beginning.
Ticks. Thoughts. Impulses. I managed to suppress them.
Now, this trailer, it's a slow burn trailer. And then when it ramps up, it's like, oh boy, like, they may have one here.
Most of the time.
What's going on, Ben?
Wait, what the hell happened to him?
I beat up some guys in a bar. And I got plastered.
So you got the Nicolas Cage isms, right? It's all over this, right? But then when we get to the action,
What are you thinking about over there?
Bit of an existential crisis, if I'm honest.
Struck a nerve, huh?
dude, this looks great. It looks good, right? Again, I know they're not going to try to blow the budget, having action pieces all over the place for this. So you're going to have a lot of character, again, the Wonderman approach. But then when they let this go with let him go spider with it, this show looks good. Okay, so it's Spider-Noir, yeah. So it's going to be black and white. So again, this is on Amazon, and I think MGM Plus. I don't know who has MGM Plus. I'm very interested. Anyone live or when they see this replay, who subscribes to MGM Plus? Maybe it's more of an international thing. Maybe out of the States. I have no reason to have MGM Plus, but it's on Amazon as well. So anyway, you'll be able to watch it black and white or true hue color. I think it's saying. I think black and white's going to hit. I think it looks good, right? Again, I'm all about money shots and again about selling it. I think having this early look looked really good. It was MGM Plus, right? Right. I think it's more of an international thing. So I'm just probably, I'm not in the market for it. But Amazon, I just think this shots looks really good. Your first real look at him. I think that just looks crisp. That looks great. You gonna watch it in black and white? Got JT in the chat. What's good with you, man? Those coming in. We're gonna get to the Paramount Netflix stuff in a little bit, and a little Zack Snyder rumor floating around. So we got a rumor roulette coming a little later here. Noir looks good. You already know Nick Cage. You already see in this trailer he has the weird Nick Cage stuff going on. No power comes, no responsibility. This looks good, right? This looks good. Coming out the end of May. Again, I think I'm trying to see which platform I'm going to be reviewing a lot of these shows. It may be a Patreon thing. We'll see. But additional content like that, we're going to put in either Patreon or members, and we'll see how that goes. So, let's see here. We got another. What is this? Did I already do this one? Yeah, we already did that one. It's Master of the Universe. Get that out of here. All right, let's do this one here. We got some Michael Jackson. The Michael movie. They gave us another look of it, so let me get this together. I gotta be careful with the sound on this one because they really gonna hit that Michael music hitting.
Ready whenever.
We gotta turn this down. Where's the sound at? Oh, there we go. Turn that down. Yeah.
Wherever you are, Michael.
April.
Sounded good.
This film, this Michael movie, man. this Michael movie, just when the music is gonna hit, and then you got what's his nephew playing him, and he's getting the mannerisms, he's getting all the looks together. This film is just gonna be a concert, I feel. That's a nasty guitar. Is that a guitar bass? What is that? Oh, I gotta mute this. It looks good. Okay, we'll turn it back up.
Now that's rock and roll.
Michael, rated PG-13, in theaters April 24th.
This film's gonna be amazing. Okay, Michael, I'm all in. Like worldwide, if we think international box office is down, I think the Michael movie is gonna break that curse for a lot of people. And again, other films have hit. The Lilo and Stitch is, either you're gonna hit or you're not. And I think this film is gonna hit. Like people didn't expect Minecraft to do what it did. It got over 900 million. People, thought Superman was going to do better, and it got more of a mid-level 600. I think Michael, it's going to just kill it. It's going to kill it. So we'll see with that. Every time they put out a trailer for Michael, like just the music alone, it's selling it overall. Let's see, we got a couple more. Let's get through this. We got Mando and Grogu. Now, a quick story with this. Disney, Lucasfilm, whoever made this decision to have Mando and Grogu have a Super Bowl spot and to use it just to do some kind of, some kind of spoof of Budweiser. They wasted a lot of money with that. So that was pretty crazy. And then it was a little backlash out there because I think they'll just, they dropped the ball. They dropped the ball with not using that Super Bowl spot to actually show the film. It looked like a cheap TV show, which it was originally a TV show. And now this is a film. They had to do better than that. So, and I think in response to that, this is why this trailer is out now.
Hey, never touch the buttons.
They could have just showed that on Super Bowl and then say, watch the full trailer online. They just that first shot right there. And I think it was on my Patreon. We had the leak, the first look of this from, I think it was a Star Wars Celebration or something late last year, and that went hard. So it's like, I don't know why they avoided showing anything on the Super Bowl, but anyway.
I can use some information.
Whoa, for this price, I'll tell you whatever you want.
I'm looking for a hut. closed for the night. Thank you. Gangsters, war criminals.
Long live the Empire.
We'll take out every bad guy in your deck of cards.
That's it. Just with Star Wars is very simple to get general fans like me. Again, I don't know. I don't really speak to my fandom menace friends out there. I don't know if they are just all over, or done with Lucasfilm or whatever. But for me as a general fan, I just need some blasters and lightsaber action, and I'm pretty good. I'll be pretty good overall with that. So that's all they had to show me to sell this.
This isn't about revenge. It's about preventing another war.
Strap in.
This is Star Wars, right? Again, for general fans, this is the Star Wars that we wanted right here.
You will suffer. And then it will be his turn.
So May 22nd, and again, this is the soundtrack and everything. This is what we want. I don't want to say it's like low buzz for this film. It's just this year, you got to think this summer, you got Spider-Man. Later this year, you got Avengers. So there's relatively, this is kind of coming under the radar in a sense. But putting stuff out like this, it's getting people ready. We're 3 months away from it.
Going into harm's way. Check your armor. The kid will live centuries beyond me. I won't always be around to protect him.
Are you scared? You should be.
Do we run? Or do we fight?
I like this kid.
What are you waiting for?
It looks good, right? I think it looks good. Mandalorian, Grogu. Supposedly, they tried to keep the budget under 200 million for this film. Again, all these numbers aren't out yet, but if they did keep this under 200 million, I think this film will have decent international performance along with domestic. I just think I can't really guess international anymore, but this film has a good chance, to get like 700 or more. I really believe that. Not guessing anything for $1 billion anymore, unless it's Avengers and Spider-Man at this point, or Batman. Not sure if this will be on that level, but it looks good. Looks good.
Let's save the rest for after dinner.
Now, I will say, with Star Wars, with Mandalorian, that season 3, they kind of almost messed up this brand. Because remember when season 1 first started, Mandalorian, first episode, Baby Yoda took over the world, and it was an insane hype. The first season was near perfect, in my opinion. Season 2 had some moments, but then there's a Luke Skywalker moment at the end. So the brand was great. Mandalorian, the Mandalorian show. Even Boba Fett had an awesome moment, then his show was trash. But then season 3, that was just some weird choices creatively. So we'll see. Again, I don't think it's going to damage the performance of this film, but this looking like more like season 1 Mandalorian. So I'm all for it. All for it there. So interesting stuff. I think we did enough trailers. Let's get to we got this floating around. Henry Cavill, Highlander. But before we do that, let's see. Yeah, horses on Star Destroyer ships. While they were hovering midair in the last movie, it was over. Yeah, this is a star. I think Mando Grogu. This is the Star Wars that we want. I do believe that, and I'm hearing some good things about Starfighter too. The Ryan Gosling film, Sean Levy film, that's coming out 2027. But we'll see. It remains to be seen with that. So, again, we're going to talk Paramount, Netflix stuff. Then we got Zack Snyder rumor we want to discuss as well. Before we do that, this was floating around here. Very interesting. But we don't need the sound on that. Henry Cavill Highlander. Yeah. Hey, behind the scenes, Highlander looking pretty good. Cavill in great shape. They had this little, I think he got scraped up a little bit a month or two ago. He seems to be back. Let's see, when is this coming out? The Henry Cavill Highlander. They got the filming done. I don't see her. Do I see a release date? It'll be next year. They're aiming for next year. This is, again, an Amazon MGM property. So you got Cavill working with them with Voltron, Amazon MGM. You got the Warhammer stuff that Cavill wants to do. So he's doing these films with Amazon, to kind of, get them some buzz, and then they're going to really be pouring in some money to Warhammer as well. So it's kind of like a favor for a favor thing with these Cavill projects with Amazon. But that relationship seems to be heating up with Highlander behind the scenes. Cavill looks like he's ready. You got Dave Bautista. Amazon low-key cooking right now, for sure. And like I said, hearing good stuff about Voltron. There's some test screenings going out for Voltron. They're saying Cavill looks great in that film. You already know he's going to be great in this Highlander. So this is it's heating up. And then he has like another movie. What's that movie? In the Gray or something like that? That's supposed to be releasing. Let's see. When is that coming out? Yeah, well, the Guy Ritchie film, In the Gray. When does that come out? That comes out April. Okay, so a couple months. That's going to be a film. You got Henry Cavill. You got Jake Gyllenhaal, Isaac Gonzalez. Again, it's a Guy Ritchie film. So we'll see how that lands overall. Cavill, his career is definitely still heating up. And definitely, hey, you already know he'll throw that cape back on real quick. Good stuff. Let's see, did I hear Sydney Sweeney? Yeah, I heard about that live action Gundam movie. Sydney Sweeney, she's kind of in a weird spot, I think. Like for her imaging. I think most if you notice in most actors and probably even directors, think they're going to try to avoid getting into any kind of like just political leanings. Not saying that she tried to, or I don't know, it's debatable, but she does need, because I don't think it may be some oversaturation of her too. That may be a backlash too with her. Obviously, all Sydney Sweeney has to do is just play I'm not trying to down women when I say this, but all she has to do is play the pretty girl. And, that's her brand, to be quite honest. She tried to do like other roles and dirty up her face a little bit. Didn't really land. Then you had that controversy. Wasn't the best. Her PR team didn't help her the best way with that. So she needs like a good action type appearance, in my opinion, to distance herself a little bit from that controversy. And the Gundam film may do that, because I don't think this Euphoria show, I don't think that's going to do that well. I don't know, in my opinion. I don't think people are really going to show up or I don't know. I'm just kind of tired of hearing about the Euphoria show. Just because it's like it was kind of interesting first season, then it just kind of went somewhere for me. I wasn't really down. So yeah, we'll see. Cavill in the Game of Thrones series. I heard about that rumor. Yeah, I was to chase that down. Yeah, her controversy. I wouldn't say it was a nothing burger though. I wouldn't say it was a nothing burger. I mean, I think then they kind of followed her a little bit, but like people saying the housemaid is good. All you gotta do is just come out with a couple good projects. People, not keep bringing it up, overall. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's get to the main stories here. We'll talk the Paramount, Netflix stuff, and then we'll do the Zack Snyder rumor stuff. All right, so let's transition here. It's going to be a lot of interesting information here. Y'all know how we do. That's what people want to see the movie. Yeah, it was a combination of things. That film definitely. I mean, I didn't expect it to tank that bad, right? No one expected that. So, will Paramount swoop in and capture Warner Brothers? And that would include DC overall. I made it very clear my stance when we started hearing Warner Bros. We knew Warner Bros. Was going to sell again. Me and late great Mikey Sutton talked about this, 4 or 5 years ago. So not surprised that Warner Bros. Is for sale again. But I was obviously leaning towards the Paramount route, right? Because Paramount, amongst their bid for it, they was going to have the sovereign nations, Qatar, Abu Dhabi, and the PIF, the Saudis. So obviously, I've been favoring Paramount this entire time. I mean, I let people know if I'm biased on something. I was so to hear that Netflix came and swooped in, I felt some kind of way. I was like, it was kind of like anticlimactic initially for me. And in the chat, let's see, we got 58% for Netflix over Paramount. That's usually how on YouTube. Usually people are leaning more towards Netflix. On Twitter, they lean more towards Paramount. I kind of have an idea why, but I think when Netflix came and swooped in, like I said, it took me. I had to kind of process it that first night because I was a little bummed about it because I thought having Paramount, I thought that was our best chance to get Zack Snyder and the Saudis, and we was gonna get Jail 2 in theaters. That's where I was at with that. So now with Netflix, after I kind of processed it, I was like, okay, let's step back for a minute. If Netflix wins this, I was starting to hear about Netflix and their plans for DC. That DC was one of the main reasons, amongst other IPs that Warner Brothers owns, but that was one of the main reasons why Netflix wanted Warner Brothers. And that was the main reason anyone would want Warner Brothers. The DC is a big part of it. It's like an untapped crown jewel is the term that people was using. It's more than just Batman. It's more than just Superman. Wonder Woman is, her recognizability of Wonder Woman, I think, has only grown, thanks to Gal Gadot, Zack Snyder, overall. So you could tap into this more, is what every company, Netflix, Paramount, Comcast. So I was hearing Netflix, they want to really diversify the DC brand, to really lean more into DC events multiple times a year. And so once I started hearing just their plans, just in general, we're not even talking about the Snyderverse yet. Just DC overall, just for the genre of CBM geek entertainment. I started getting a little warming up a little bit. It's like, okay, Netflix may actually do some cool stuff. And then on top of that, you can get, a Zack Snyder film. People are talking about this Batfleck Dark Knight Returns type thing. We're going to circle back to that in just a moment. But the more I was hearing about Netflix plans with DC, I put it out there. I'm like, no, they want to do, series, live action, animated, multiples, spreading out the universe, or even doing one-shot stories, live action films, and then leave the theatrical side to the Warner Brothers or DC Studio side. And I was, it's seeming like if Netflix was to get this, that the way DC Studios is running now, where James Gunn and Safran are just, sitting there, hey, we're going to green light once we get a script that we like. And then, Netflix would be like, okay, no, do this story, right? If Gunn and Safran are still there. Netflix basically wants to be hands-on with DC, is what I heard. So I was warming up to this Netflix idea. And then we heard about the Paramount. They want to do this hostile takeover. Wasn't really taking Paramount seriously. But now it's a good chance Paramount may really have a shot in intercepting this deal. Now, the first thing I want to say is I am hearing just, from a couple directions here that it sounds like the DOJ, because, Netflix they agree with Warner Bros. For the deal and it has to pass through the regulatory process. And the argument Netflix was using was, hey, our competition, everyone's saying would be a monopoly, but, YouTube actually has more viewers than us. And, TikTok, we're competing with everything on the internet. And I thought it was actually a good argument. And I'm not going to retread that because a lot of people don't agree with that argument. But I was like, oh, they may have an angle there, Netflix. But what I'm hearing is that even if that angle lands or not, that's not what's going to get this deal done. This current Department of Justice may just not want Netflix to own it, period. Like, it don't even matter their argument. This is what I'm hearing with this, that Netflix could try to, explain, they're not a monopoly and do all that. You got the co-CEO, Ted Sarandos. It's kind of wasting his breath on that because that's not going to determine if they pass through. This current administration may just not let Netflix even get it. It may sound unfair to people that's on the Netflix side because a lot of people, it seemed like Netflix was going to get this done. And again, I'm saying that I think they have an excellent argument to get if they have to prove, why they should get this through. But all that proven may not matter at all. They may just not let Netflix. They may just not let Netflix get this. Just point blank. And it sounds unfair. Okay, it definitely sounds. Now, I mean, yes, I preferred the Paramount side initially. Now, this doesn't guarantee Paramount gets it either, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. But it obviously helps Paramount. Obviously, I favored the Paramount side for the reasons I stated. And yes, underlining Snyderverse, yes. But I was starting to warm up to Netflix. Like I said, I've been covering this in real time. And I'm like, hey, I'm hearing Netflix is going to do some cool stuff just with DC overall. I was like, okay, I could warm up to that. And there's a chance for Zack Snyder still with that. Okay. But now with this going on, and we're going to get deeper into this, They may just block it. It's just simply we don't want Netflix to have it, and that will be the reason why they will block it. It sounds like they really will kill this deal. So let's get more into this, and I got more stuff to kind of talk about this. You have James Cameron, because there's some misconceptions out there, and even Netflix kind of, I don't want to say they lied about something, but we'll get to this. We know James Cameron, Mr. Avatar, Mr. Terminator. He's been speaking out very aggressively against Netflix. I had this clip where he's like, oh, this, Netflix is going to kill theaters. It's not simply Netflix equals, the end of theaters, because it's actually not true. Netflix is not going to kill theaters. They're going to kill the back end money for actors, directors, production companies. That's what Netflix is going to kill. Netflix, they wasn't lying about, we're going to, fulfill the 45-day window. And I definitely got to touch on that clip about the performance of the films. We're definitely going to talk about that because I haven't been live to talk about that. We're going to do that today. But what I'm hearing is that Netflix definitely is not going to kill theaters, but they're going to kill the money of these back-end deals. That's what's going to, that's why you're hearing these directors coming out. James Cameron. People were kind of propping up, Nolan, Christopher Nolan never liked Netflix. And then people said, oh, no, but he came back and kind of doubled back. But then this is what Nolan feels right now. This is the latest. These directors, again, a lot of people are making this like some kind of holy crusade to save theaters. No, Netflix is going to be messing with their money. And that's people get active, whether you're a high power exec or you in the streets. If people mess with your money, people get active. So that's why you hear James Cameron talking and Christopher Nolan. This is his quote about the WB Netflix deal. Christopher Nolan's head of the Directors Guild or something like that, right? So he speaks for the directors in a sense. Says there are encouraging noises, but that's not the same as commitments. They don't trust Netflix. Again, it's about those side deals. The theatrical window becomes an easily graspable symbol of whether Warner Brothers will be run as a theatrical distributor or whether it will be folded in as a streamer. Very diplomatic by Christopher Nolan. So those who are saying, Nolan's saying he hates Netflix, that's not the point. Nolan's just saying, I make films for theaters, not for streamers. Can we trust Netflix? That is the question. And again, you had James Cameron coming out saying he doesn't trust Netflix. You got this here. Theater CEO reveals the industry is supporting Paramount in the battle for Warner Brothers. This is just James Cameron. This is the stance of the Directors Guild. I think who was that? The Actors Guild. I think they put out an official statement that they don't trust Netflix. So again, I talked about again, okay, what does Netflix have to prove to get this deal through? And we're gonna get into that. That was all nonsense. Where Ted Sarandos was in the Congress and he was trying to discuss, why, they're competing with YouTube and stuff. None of it even matters. They may just not want Netflix to get this. Okay. So I'm just kind of putting that in this prism and then we'll go forward with this. And in fact, okay, this is a good time to pull up this video. This is a very interesting discussion online about Netflix committing to the theatrical window, right? And then we'll get back to again why Paramount may slip in and get this. So let's check this out.
And will this be a fully exclusive 45-day theatrical window?
Fully exclusive to theaters, yes.
And will this be self-enforced? In other words, if you fall short of that?
That is the industry. It is the industry standard for self-enforcement. However, routinely, movies that underperform, the window moves a little bit. and Superman was a little shorter window and Sinners was a little longer window.
Now, we we got to talk about this, right? like I said, I haven't been live in a minute, y'all. We got to talk about this. And we'll get more into, again, this back and forth for Paramount and Netflix. But so a lot of people made a lot about this statement that Sarandos, I mean, he said it himself, right? This isn't, people was all over the place, very polarizing takes on all this. I'm just going off Sarandos' own words here.
Routinely, movies that underperform, the window moves a little bit, and Superman was a little shorter window and Sinners was a little longer window.
I mean, I don't. Does this mean, did Superman bomb? Did it flop? Well, no, I mean, like, I want people to grasp this, right? Because again, when y'all come here, we talk about CBM Geek Entertainment Analysis, objective and nuanced. It's not just black and white here, right? This is you got to really listen to what he said in a nuanced way, but also just, common sense. If Superman truly just totally underperformed, meaning if it got less than the 500 number that they wanted, James Gunn would not be doing Man of Tomorrow. So let me just kind of put this out there first, right? Let's be realistic. But if y'all remember my coverage of James Gunn Superman leading up to this past summer, the forecast that we were covering, there was people was like, oh, it may get 800, it may mess around and get 1 billion. It didn't do that. And in-house Warner Bros. Was like, oh, we're pushing all the marketing. Now, they were getting a lot of advertising tie-ins. They were receiving money to market. Like, these companies, like Dairy Queen was an example, which had a really good Superman Blizzard, by the way. But Dairy Queen was giving DC money, Warner Brothers money, and to market it, Dairy Queen next to Superman. So they were getting a lot of marketing tie-ins. They ultimately didn't lose money on Superman. I do want to make that clear. But we're just talking about the performance. Just going off this man's words again, Ted Sarandos, when co-CEO of Netflix, when they were trying to work out a deal with Warner Brothers, just like Paramount and Comcast, they got the books, and they looked at the books for Warner Brothers this past year, 2025. Got over 40 billion, I believe. Was it 40 billion? And is that number too big? Let me see. Is it 40 billion or 4 billion? Let's see. Warner Brothers film revenue 2025. It's 40. Was 40 too much, or is it 4? 4 billion. I said 40 billion. I'm thinking of like NBA contracts. 4 billion, 4.4 billion is what DeLuca and Abdi turned in for box office 2025. Wonderful year, one of the best years ever. So they was looking at the numbers. This is why Sarandos is saying this. He's like, okay, well, 45-day window, if it's kind of coming under what they're expecting, we're going to pivot just like Warner Brothers just did. This is what he's saying.
It is the industry standard for self-enforcement. However, routinely, movies that underperform, the window moves a little bit, and Superman was a little shorter window and Sinners was a little longer window, but they still could refer to it as a 45-day window.
So they can fudge it a little bit, but all he's saying is that, they expected more for Superman. Now, if they expected more from Superman and it hit 614 million, it did enough. That's true. It did enough. They wanted more. So, yeah, you could do Man of Tomorrow because we did make a profit because, again, advertising tie-ins. Man of Tomorrow has to hit. This is what I'm saying. This is even more pressure now that it's public now that, oh, hey, by the third weekend of Superman, it kind of dipped down more than we wanted. It's performance each week. Let's see. Performance. First 4 weeks. Opening weekend. Domestic, what did it do? If you include the previews, I think what it got like, did it get 125? I think it's opening weekend 125. Let me actually do the weekends. Okay, I got it here. So 125, great start for Superman. I was, again, just in real time, I was like, hey, this has a chance to make a little money. Second weekend, just a 53% drop, nearly 60 million. Great. What they wanted was, again, the legs to even go further with this. And that's what it nearly had a 60% drop his third weekend. What you really wanted, and this is to compare anything to Sinners is not fair. Okay, Sinners, it had like 46 million the first week. Second weekend, it had over 40 million. It barely dropped. You never see Sinners is an anomaly. So it's kind of not fair that Sorrento's even compared Superman to Sinners. That just wasn't a fair comparison. But second week drop was great. That was a good hold, 53%. And then you had that 60% drop his third week. And that's when it was like, what we can do is pivot this to have it on digital because Peacemaker's coming out. That's how they tried to kind of spin that. The third weekend, it didn't hold like they wanted it to do. Right. That's just the bare facts with that. And it does put more pressure on Man of Tomorrow. So I wanted to make sure I addressed that video because that clip was out there. People was going crazy over this. So that is what it is. Sorrento's, he saw the books. That's why he was able to say, to comment on this performance. But let's get back to the Paramount Netflix jousting here. Overall. So, like I said, I feel what I'm hearing is that it's a great chance that they are just going to block Netflix. This current administration, the DOJ, Trump is sitting back like, I ain't gonna get involved, but his people gonna take care of it. So let's see. All right. Got House in the chat. You think Man of Tomorrow is guaranteed if Supergirl underperforms? Oh yeah, no, Man of Tomorrow's coming out. It's all on Man of Tomorrow, and I'll kind of touch on the Supergirl. Will that Supergirl performance affect anything? Just short answer, no. For Supergirl to affect anything, just like with Superman, they have a number. They have a number for James Gunn's Superman. The number was 500 million. And again, that's been confirmed several times. If Superman 2025 finished under 500 million, you wouldn't have got Man of Tomorrow. Now with Supergirl, they do have a number, and they're expecting, again, around Black Adam. So you're in the 300 million range for Supergirl. If Supergirl makes under 300 million, then that would rock the boat, but you're still getting Man of Tomorrow. So just to answer your question directly, it's all on Man of Tomorrow, and I think Man of Tomorrow needs at least 700 million, in my opinion. So yeah. So let's get more into this here. So it'll affect Gunn's emotions. So again, I'm leaning more towards, like I said, Netflix is getting blocked. Maybe they have to readjust their deal. Maybe they have to pay off some people. I don't know, but it's all indications that Netflix is going to get blocked. But this back and forth, again, we talked about this. James Cameron says, what did he say? Let's go to what he actually said. Yeah, James Cameron, because again, it's not just James Cameron saying this. People want to make this like, oh, he's the only one doing misinformation. I showed you that people are saying the whole industry is against Netflix, separate from the DOJ. The Department of Justice want to just block Netflix anyway. But then on top of that, the industry, again, because of money, they're messing up their pockets. That's why they're against Netflix. But James Cameron said it would be disastrous for the theatrical motion picture business. That's what it's all about. It's not about, because again, I'll make this clear. Because people think, when actors and famous people come out for a cause or something, like it means something. It's about themselves. Okay, you're messing with their business. You're messing with their pockets. It's not about our theater going experience and just the world needs theaters. Yes, that escapism. Yes, but that's not what they're worried about. You're messing with their pockets, right? So that's why James Cameron was coming out so hard. But then again, also on top of that, you saw Nolan's quote. He's like, I don't trust him. They saying that's Nolan's stance. He's the head of the Directors Guild. And then that separate report, the whole industry's against Netflix. So it's a lot. This is an uphill battle more than I thought it would be. But you got Ruffalo. He fires back. I don't know where this came from. He says the next question to Mr. Cameron should be this. Are you also against the monopolization that a Paramount acquisition would create? Or is it just that of Netflix? This is weird. Okay. Has any other actor come out? Because I don't know. Is there any other actress that's come out and said, "Oh yeah, go Netflix"? This is the only dude. He probably got some stake and stuff. There's something going on there. He has a couple streaming films out there. Oh, Ruffalo. That's weird. He's kind of off code there. And you speaking out against the Directors Guild, meaning, you got these casting directors. They may be like Ruffalo, like you kind of, we got to stay lockstep here. So that was kind of weird that Ruffalo came out. But when we talk about the monopolization, here's an idea here as far as what Paramount will own. And I'm here to tell you right now, it's not about monopoly. This is not what it's about. It just a collective does not want Netflix to get this. If Paramount gets this is all that they will own. All the major franchises: Harry Potter, Mad Max, Conjuring, all the Matrix. You add all that to the Sonic, Top Gun, what Paramount already has, Transformers, G.I. Joe. This is like a pseudo monopoly. Paramount gets so. Just like when people say Netflix is a monopoly. So it's not even about that, y'all. It's about the DOJ does not want Netflix to get this. So let's go further here. Let's see. Get this out the way. Again, theater owners call pending Netflix merger catastrophic in a statement to Senate lawmakers. So you got the directors, the actors guilds, except Mark Ruffalo for some reason. They're all against this Netflix deal because, again, it's the business. Then theater owners. A lot of people feel Ted Sarandos was saying, we'll honor the current contracts. But then by like 2028 or 2030, all bets are off with 45 days. Sarandos is just saying what he needs to say now to get this deal through. But it may not be enough. And the trust, it comes down to trust. The industry does not trust Netflix. Directors, actors, theater owners, right? On top of this, you have an investor in Warner Bros. Discovery. They are an investor company that invests in Warner Brothers. And they're wondering, Zaza, why are you trying to rush this Netflix deal through? Can we really look at this deal? Because it's a weird thing. It's like you see the numbers But just overall, everyone knows Netflix is just trying to buy the studio streaming side. And that's about what, 83 billion or whatever. And Paramount's trying to buy not only the studio streaming side, but everything. So obviously you get more money from Paramount. And it just seemed it seemed odd. I remember a few people, I think Mr. J was in the chat room, we was like, but Paramount's offering more because they're trying to get everything. But it's like, why are they acting like Paramount isn't putting 100 million plus or 100 billion? I'm sorry, billion. Did I say M's? B's. So it seemed odd from the beginning. Then Paramount, what Paramount kind of did a misstep, David Ellison, because he's not used to these big, power moves. His daddy took care of all this for him, right? So David had to get out there and start talking, and he was trying to prove a point saying, okay, Zazzle is overvaluing the TV cable channels. He's like, that's only like $1 a share. Like, that's worth nothing. Zazzle was saying, oh, if I will split the company, yes, the studio streaming side would be very, I'm trying to think like what number could that be? Because like I said, the shares went up to like nearly $30. That's like I bought my Warner Brothers shares at $6, right? And what's the current shares? WBD stock share costs just under $29. So do you really like? I bought my shares $6 a piece. Now that nearly 5 times it, 4 times it. Insane. Now when they actually split the company, Warner Bros. Discovery, the streaming studio side, that may double. That probably be like $50 a share. And then the cable channels, what Paramount was saying, that's only worth like $1 a share. And if you're being nice, $2 at the most. So Paramount always has been offering the most money. And this is what these investors, they had to start speaking up like, hey, wait a minute, Zazzle, what are we doing? Are we really making the most money by taking less from Netflix? Does that make sense? Right? So that's true. That's true. Zack Sonic, hey, that would be, bro, Shadow would be a beast if Zack did Sonic. Sonic killing people. Zack, bro, Zack Snyder, man, if he touched Sonic, bro, that'd be ugly. Shin says there's no secret deal. Netflix let Zazzle keep his job. Zazzle believes a separate company, Global, will be worth something too. And it won't be. See, that's the thing. Right, Shin. That's what I was just touching on. That's what David Ellison was saying for Paramount. Like, hey, this ain't worth nothing. Like, what are you overvaluing this, right? Backdoor deal, yeah, with Netflix. That's what it's sounding like. But now the investors are looking at like, okay, if Paramount's giving us more, why aren't we taking this deal, right? So that's interesting. And with them getting vocal, and this was like over a week ago, now all of a sudden the window's open for Paramount to do this, to offer a deal or even up their deal. Right now, Paramount, and I was saying this on Twitter, the whole time I was like, Paramount, just up your offer. I guess that's what you need to do to close this, right? But Paramount's like, well, we're already offering more. That's one thing. And then so we offer the better deal if you just look at it. Why are you rushing Netflix, right? So that's that backdoor deal. Or Zazzle feels he's safer if you don't bring in another movie studio. You bring in a streaming studio. So that means all of Warner Bros. Execs, including that would give Gunn and Safran their best chance to stay if Netflix gets it. Paramount, as I discussed before, they already were recruiting DC directors. Paramount was. Meaning there's going to be some shakeup if Paramount was to get this. But the investors are looking at this again. What's best for the investors, right? So they're telling the board to engage with Paramount. And all of a sudden you're hearing they're engaging with Paramount. And we'll see how I think we got like next week. I think we're going to hear a word back on that. If Warner Brothers is going to shut down Paramount again, but now with these investors getting involved, they're like, "Hey, no, Zaz, if we need to see what you actually agreeing to, and are we going to make, the most money possible?" So interesting. We got this. Sarandos fights to seal Warner Bros. Discovery deal. Again, he's saying he's battling misinformation. He's targeting that at Paramount, saying, "Oh, and James Cameron." There's a quote. He's saying, "Oh, James Cameron's pushing misinformation." But what I just show y'all? The investors are looking at this deal like, so Sarandos is not being, Sarandos is not being totally honest, saying, "Oh, it's just misinformation." I just showed you. It's not just James Cameron. It's an entire Directors Guild against this. The entire Actors Guild is against this, except Mark Ruffalo. The entire industry this ain't misinformation. And then your own investors are like, okay, something ain't right. Something ain't adding up. So it's just a little like Netflix, because we already had the story where they were going to offer cash to Warner Brothers and partly stocks to close the deal. Since this deal was announced, Netflix stock has gone down like 30%. So it's worth less now. And then they amended it, and now it's all cash now. So Netflix is looking a little sneaky here, and this is looking a little desperate. And actually, let's see, where's the actual misinformation quote? He said he sees misinformation spread by Paramount Skydance team and its leader, David Ellison. Again, I didn't even quote David Ellison at all. I showed you 4 different ways where people are against this, including Warner Brothers' own investors. So I'm sorry, Sarandos, this is a bunch of nothing that you're saying right here. So it's down to 40% now. That's what I'm saying. This ain't, so 30% plus. Not good. But they already amended it saying they would do all cash now. So now that's not going to affect the deal. But now it's just Netflix. Is this a smart thing to be involved with? Because the DOJ, it seemed like they're all against you. The industry is against you. DOJ, Department of Justice, is against you. Your investors the Warner Bros. Investors are looking kind of weird at this now. It says here, Paramount Skydance, which doesn't have a deal to buy Warner Bros. Discovery, claims its proposed WBD takeover has cleared DOJ antitrust review. Dang, this could be checkmate right here. If everything that's being heard is the DOJ just simply don't want Netflix to get this, and then on the side they're telling Paramount, "Oh, y'all get through just easily." Warner Bros. Investors are starting to get a little nervous. Like, wait a minute, man. Even if we agree to this Netflix deal, they may just block this. Again, it doesn't sound fair, but this is just what's ahead of us right now. This is just what's in front of us right now. Paramount's claiming they are already approved if you just accept the deal, meaning it will close faster. Now, could Netflix kick up some dust and countersue or something and drag this out to next year? Nothing's still not going to be done to next year, whether either side gets it. It just Paramount would be have an easier path with that. Netflix accuses Paramount of continuing to mislead stockholders. But we just heard from, again, an investor saying, no, like, Paramount's offering us more. That's not misleading anyone. So, again, Netflix sounding a little desperate, little desperate right now. That's not becoming of them. Let's see. we got this here. Wall Street Journal. Again, we talked about those investors. The Warner Brothers fight isn't over. This is the first time I'm like, oh, Netflix may not get through. Investors, again, as we talked about, they start to see past Trump and ask which takeover offer is really better. That's what they're asking Zaslav. Like, let's actually look at this better. So again, this is tilting towards Paramount. But this article here is claiming something pretty interesting that, again, is going against Netflix. And I was able to hear from a couple other people that's lining up to what this article is saying. And it's saying after censoring CBS, Trump will go for CNN. Don't separate the politics from that. I don't even want to get into this politic conversation. But there's a claim in this article that I think is a bombshell. And this is similar to something I heard where it says, this is a journalist here, Jonathan Alter. He's even saying he's heard Trump or the Department of Justice will kill Netflix bid for Warner and help Paramount win. Now, we've expected this coming into this, but this week, this is what this journalist is saying, that he's hearing, no, they're definitely going to kill this Netflix bid. Then you got this Paramount story. This came out before the Paramount story today saying, oh, we will pass regulatory. We already got approval from the DOJ. Now, as far as being in control of CBS and CNN, I don't even want to talk about that. That's not even what we're talking about. Let's go more into what they're saying. Because a lot of people think, and again, I'm not really trying to entertain too much about, oh, he's going to control more of the media. And then it's going to be, Trump's only in office for a couple more years. So what good is it going to do Trump to say, oh, Paramount has CNN now, so they're going to talk nicer about me for the next 2 years? Like, that's not what this is all about. Maybe it's part of it, but again, I don't care about that conversation right now. What we're going to talk about is that they likely will block Netflix. And let me get to the quote. Okay. Okay, so he's saying, here's what's going to happen. This is the scenario. This is the scenario. Yeah, there's stories out there on both sides, but this is the scenario here. Let me say, here's what's going to happen now. Netflix has agreed under pressure. So far, all this is true, to let Paramount Skydance have several days of negotiations with Warner Bros. Discovery, whose board wanted to go with Netflix. But in the next few days, David Ellison and Larry Ellison will sweeten the bid. So it will be some kind of upping of the offer there, according to what he's hearing. And then from what he's heard from very good sources, he's saying the Justice Department will announce what Republican senators have already hinted at, which is that they will block a merger with Netflix on antitrust grounds. International regulators may say the same, ending Netflix bid. Now, this guy, he's even against Warner Brothers selling, but Warner Brothers is going to sell. But this is the scenario that he's saying. And again, on the side note is, and he kind of hinted towards this, that, again, this administration just doesn't want Netflix to get this. So they're going to make it as difficult as possible. What can happen, though, this is why I said it doesn't guarantee Paramount, is that Netflix still can fight this and drag this out, like I said, either way to next year in any case. Someone saying Paramount is allegedly merging with Comcast. That'd be major, right? I don't know if I even saw anything about that. Paramount and Comcast. Let's see. So there's no confirmation yet. Not seeing any formal talks. There seems to be some speculation though. So yeah, I think it's still about Warner Brothers for Paramount. But that would be interesting. But yeah, I don't see anything solid with that. Paramount's 10-day DOJ investigation period has lapsed, so they are closer to a close if they get the deal. Yeah. But yeah, DOJ, I mean, Paramount's coming out saying, oh, we already got the DOJ approval. So yeah. Yeah, Ruffalo, that is a weird. That's just a weird him coming out like, oh, okay, Cameron, what about this? And then like Ruffalo, he's gonna want to get into a movie in the future. You gonna ticked off the entire Directors Guild? Like, hey, are they gonna hire you? Like, come on, bro. You need to chill out. Ruffalo. You can't be Hawk forever. So again, just according to just this report, I don't know. Someone was saying was reported that wasn't true on a different report. I don't know what this other different report is that you're talking about. And what this reporter is saying, this is just what he's hearing. That's just like with different rumors that come out. Like when people said Superman cost $800 million to make, it wasn't really true. You know, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, different people are going to say different things, but this is just his scenario. It is very likely. I think everyone realizes this administration doesn't want Netflix to get this. You saw what Sarandos just went through at that hearing. So it's going to be more of an uphill battle with that, more than I anticipated. And again, if that scenario is true, what he's saying, that they're going to just outright block it, I think Netflix again will try to appeal it somehow, and then it's not going to be smooth sailing even for Paramount, because Netflix is going to, you know, again, fight back against that. So this is going to get a little messy. That's what it's sounding like overall with that. So interesting. Let's see what we're saying in the chat, and then we'll get to our rumor roulette to close this out. Zack Snyder style. So CBS isn't censored. They are being forced to be more balanced by the new head. Yeah. Comcast sort of, was it Brian Thomas or Thompson, whatever, the head of Comcast, he went over to talk with the Saudis about some amusement parks, but a lot of us assume it was some, you know, movie studio talks as well too. So, but the Saudis, they jumped in with the Paramount deal, so that basically canceled out Comcast. But yes, there are some dealings. There are some dealings with Comcast and the Saudis. Yes, and again, just like I said, I'm fine if Netflix somehow pulls this off, because it has to be a terrible feeling for Netflix to sit up there in the Senate and argue or have these all these you know, political people yelling at them, and the mayors and whoever they are, people in the Senate. Sarandos was getting kind of shook in there, and he was trying to explain how, you know, how this deal will work. And just from what I'm being led to believe is that none of that even mattered. He didn't convince anyone. Like, even if Sarandos does exactly what he said he was going to do, they still want to just block him. It's not fair. So they're just going to make this more complicated going further. So it's Paramount Plus and Peacock that are rumored to merge. Oh, okay. Let me see. Paramount Plus and Peacock. Let's see. I think I saw a story about that not too long ago. Right now, yeah, I guess it's still just a rumor. I don't see any confirmation with that, but so we'll just treat it as speculation. But yeah, right now I know Paramount 100% they are locked in trying to get Warner Brothers. They don't have approval. They're chosen to let it lapse without further investigation. Well, yeah, I mean, as far as just what the report says, I'll pull it back up here. Paramount's claiming its proposed takeover has cleared DOJ antitrust review. So just this first step that Netflix is going through, that Serranos was in there arguing, or the Senate was arguing and yelling at Serranos for no reason, but and just asking them stupid questions too. I feel too, but Paramount saying we already passed that step. If Warner Bros. Was to agree to that deal, we don't have to go in front of the Senate like this for this step. So they're further ahead per se than Netflix. So that's wild. That's pretty wild. So we'll see, man. This is interesting times, and we'll see how that comes out overall. So before we get to the rumor roulette, just a short intermission, then we'll get to the Zack Snyder rumor, the Zack Snyder conversation that we are going to have this evening. Interesting stuff, and there was a lot to catch up with because, again, there's a lot of stories I wasn't able to cover this past month, but now we're back. Check this out real quick, and we'll get to the Zack Snyder stuff. Batman Part 2, a lot of promise for this film. Really, what Matt Reeves has done with the first Batman film, which, I wasn't the biggest fan of Part 1. The Penguin series, I thought was a great showcase of his Gotham. So I'm on board for Part 2, October 1st, 2027 release, a prime release date. Box office estimate, $750 million to $1 billion. Now, what I've learned this past summer with the James Gunn Superman is that I'm going to lean more towards the domestic numbers of stuff. So I'm not ready to say anything just a straight up billion. I'm going to let you come out of the gates swinging. Batman could do something like that. So that's the point I'm trying to make. Like Avengers, I think, is going to come out of the gate crazy for Marvel. Spider-Man. So it's just certain IPs, is in a good place. The brand name for box office. And I think Batman will fall into that category. Just to make it clear, these estimations are from the direct.com. This is their website, and they have different people that plug in their sources and stuff. So, of course, this is all, again, speculation, but I'm leaning, again, more towards the high end for Matt Reeves, the Batman. Then you got ScarJo, you got Sebastian Stan, so you got Two-Face, and maybe will they do some kind of Phantasm thing? They really should. Like Reeves, don't miss this opportunity and set up the Court of Owls. Like, stop playing. All right. Let's catch up with the chat real quick. Yeah, I put a question to the chat. Are there too many YouTube ads popping up for you? Because StreamYard, they have this new option where they're putting these ads up during the live. And so just let me know. Just vote on that poll in the YouTube chat. And see, so I have to monitor that, see if we have to just turn off the ads. I may just have to turn off the ads on my end somehow. So Roulette is coming. Let's catch up with what y'all saying. Yeah, okay. You picking up what we was just saying with that. Yeah. Yeah, they could, that's what I'm saying. It got really personal. Like you got Ted Cruz, that guy from Texas. He just seems like an idiot, but they just bring up just weird. Like he was asking them, why did Billie Eilish say we're on stolen land? And Netflix, they're like, bro, why are you asking us about the Grammys? Like, what do you? This has nothing to do with us. He's like, oh, what about CNN? And Netflix like, bro, like we're not even trying to buy CNN. Why are you asking? It was just a weird, but it just showed that biasness, and it's not just that one guy from Texas. Like I said, the whole Department of Justice was pretty much against Netflix. So that explains why Paramount doesn't want to up their offer. They feel they are bidding against themselves with the DOJ, and they're going, exactly. But now it is being said they may up it. They may put another $1 or $2 a share, probably just $1 more per share to cover the cable channel side more, though they feel they're overpaying for that. But yeah, if Netflix is as good as blocked, then Paramount shouldn't change a thing. They actually shouldn't change. They shouldn't up their bid at all, in my opinion, because they're the best offer already. And then Netflix, they're saying they're leaning towards blocking them. So yeah. What rumor is that, Shin? And then we'll get to the. All right, some is not getting ads. If you have, I think YouTube Premium, I don't think you get the ads, but yeah. So just let me know. And I think what I'll do, I'll probably start uploading this ad free to my Patreon. But we'll talk about that more. So definitely appreciate y'all voting on that. Oh, the Paramount Comcast rumor. Okay, yeah. Well, yeah. No, that's not. There's nothing supporting Campia. Now, again, if this all falls through, but we're talking about this may take to next year, and probably in 2028 or later, maybe Paramount and Comcast will talk. But right now, it's all about Warner Brothers. So, all right, let's get to some Zack Snyder conversation. They're gonna hit me for that one. They probably gonna ding my video for that music. But Zack Snyder on Instagram. Been an interesting journey with Zack Snyder on Instagram for the past 5 months. We know the stuff he's been posting, behind the scenes stuff with BVS and Man of Steel, ZSJL. Zack saying there's more to come. Can't wait to do more stories. That's what Zack was saying. All right. And we see the latest stuff he's posting. He even got some Watchmen stuff on here. Never before seen Batman shots. And each post is like, it's just blowing up. You got more Amber Heard, Mara, Nightmare movie. Make the Nightmare movie. And of course, you got some Last Photograph stuff. I think visually that's going to look amazing when the Last Photograph comes out. But again, he keeps posting Henry Cavill. Now, I've said, I've given my take on this, but I just want to reiterate. I've been told for the last several years, Zack Snyder will do DC again. So I've always believed that. I believe that's going to happen one way or another. I believe that's going to happen. And then when Zack Snyder gets active, if for the OGs knowing the release of Snyder Cut days, when Zack gets active, we get active, and something's happening behind the scenes. You know, when he was back in the day, he was dropping dark side pictures and hyping us up. And we didn't know at that time he was negotiating with AT&T and Warner Brothers to release the Snyder Cut. He dropped the Crisis Turkey. This was what, in 2021? The Crisis Turkey. He had the final Crisis in the back, that Thanksgiving picture. And then after that, I started hearing, oh, Ben is back, Cavill's back. Now we understand as of 180 things, but DeLuca and Abdi was going to do one last ride to Snyderverse. So when Zack Snyder, my point, when Zack Snyder hints towards stuff, when he's active, usually something's going on behind the scenes. Compared to what we had in the past with Zack being active, this is blowing, what he's doing now on Instagram, this is blowing everything he's done before away. We've never seen him this in tune like this. And a part of me, because you saw Gal Gadot kind of got involved a little bit, and that was interesting. I'm waiting for Cavill. You know, Momoa is going to get involved. I'm waiting for Cavill, because Cavill's on Instagram. Cavill was there when Zack Snyder released, when he announced the release of Snyder Cut. I would, because he's been posting Cavill a lot. I just want to see Cavill like just throw. Maybe he's liked one of the posts. He just hasn't said anything. I don't know. I'm sure people look up people's likes and stuff. Maybe Cavill's already liked a couple posts. But if Cavill kind of just throws a little word in there, like, hey, like, I reckon this is great. Like, it's just something. I just think that would just blow up so crazy. It's already blowing up what Zack is doing. This is just a side thing that I'm just kind of noticing. It's not Cavill style. Yeah, I mean, like I said, he showed up when the deal was done. Cavill showed up, when it was time to release the Snyder Cut. He's very business-like, Cavill is. So he's probably like, hey, nothing's signed, sealed yet. So I'm not going, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say nothing. Let's see. I hope that Snyder has the production rights to Rebel Moon so he can finish that story even without Netflix. That's the funny style with Netflix. This is why I was favoring Paramount, because it's just a relationship. I'm just looking straight up. I know 4 years ago, 3 years ago, if we heard, oh, Netflix can buy DC, guaranteed we was getting the Snyder restore easily. Right? But now, when you're seeing Netflix stalling on Rebel Moon and the Armyverse, the LA SWAT film, that story's come out. They didn't want to give Zack the proper money to make the film. Twilight of the Gods, they allowed all these other animated shows getting 2 or 3 seasons, and you didn't get a second season of that. It just, Netflix, I felt, is moving a little funny, specifically with Zack Snyder. Then you look at Paramount, and again, you got the Saudis tied into that. Stone Quarry is already doing that film with Turkey Al-Sheikh for the Brawler. So easily they would do Jail 2 in theaters. So that's why I was always leaning towards Paramount. And hey, I mean, they may swoop in. They may. But we'll see, what I'm saying, overall, as far as just that relationship with Netflix is a little funny style right now. Mr. J says Zack is friends with the future owners of WB, the Saudi Prince. Zack is going to work on some of his old projects. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. So let's see. I miss when DC was serious and different from Marvel. And that's the thing. It's like, I'm about the genre. And it just so happens Zack Snyder has done the greatest DC stuff I've seen. Like my experience in BVS in theater, or Man of Steel, starting with Man of Steel. Just, I was like, this is how DC can be. And then, I was one of the few people that seen ZSJL and IMAX. And I was just like, how did I even this? It was made for IMAX. Zack Snyder's Justice League, like it was literally made. Everyone should be able to experience that. And so, and then I say that, obviously a fan of Zack Snyder, and then also too, DC overall, I want DC to always be good. So when James Gunn's Superman was coming out, I wasn't hoping it was trash. It's not the best Superman film ever. I don't think it's the worst either. But what tells you about a film is months after you've seen it or the next year, how often do you go back to it? How often do you linger watching it? And I'm talking about just strictly CBM geek stuff. You know, I don't go back, like I go back to Winter Soldier all the time, right? Infinity War. I'm talking about Marvel, but I'm just saying, obviously Man of Steel, BVS, ZSJL, Nolan, the Batman Begins. I go back to that more than The Dark Knight, actually, right? Tim Burton, 89. I go to 89 more than Batman Returns. Schumacher, I watch those all the time. It just, how long do these movies live with you, right? That's how I judge these films. So with James Gunn's Superman, I'm just like, okay, it happened. It's out there, and okay, they're doing Man of Tomorrow. I want something a little more epic just than what I got. Okay, that's just how I feel about that, right? And I think with James Gunn, we knew James Gunn's style. So I'm not surprised at the film that we ended up with, James Gunn's Superman. And when I'm saying Man of Tomorrow has to be like his BVS, I think we've seen all of James Gunn's range. He's great actually writing characters and stuff. He's actually good at that. But for that epic DC swing, I need more, right? And Gunn isn't the guy for me for that. Gunn is great with like obscure characters, like Guardians worked out for him. It was kind of given to him on a silver platter by Nicole Perlman, but I don't feel like getting canceled again about that. But, but Gunn put his flavor, and Guardians, that trilogy is what it is. And a big part of that is James Gunn. I'm going to give him credit for the trilogy overall. With DC, we saw the Suicide Squad. We see Peacemaker, which season 2 wasn't that bad until the finale. Creature Commandos. Like, he can write characters. Gunn actually can do that. I don't think he's just like, oh, he's just a hack. Probably like his personality is a hack. But it's like those epic moments. Like, if y'all was here earlier, was watching these trailers, Masters of the Universe, He-Man and Skeletor fighting immediately. This looks epic. Spider-Noir, he's busting the poles and swinging. Looks epic, right? You see James Gunn's Superman, Mr. Terrific was a nice scene. It wasn't epic. It was like a cool, like I could watch that scene now. I'm like, oh, that was a cool scene. That was cool. And then I can kind of go away and not really think about it so much. But epic DC, don't get me started on the third act of BVS, the greatest third act in film history. Like the third act of BVS, and I've said this before, but every time I think of it, I got to say this. The third act starts with the nightmare scene. Right? It did. It's Batman versus Superman. And then the Wonder Woman entrance. And Doomsday. And the death of Superman. The Trinity moment. Oh, that's all in the third act. The Dark Knight Returns homage. That's what makes DC epic. And you can have these little character stories in between there, but I can't put this on level of epicness, right? Anyway, I was going on a tangent there. I want to get through this and get to the rumor. But I agree with you, okay? I agree with you. Our favorite Netflix. I'm just saying Dan Lin don't like Snyder. Allegedly. See a shell on Paramount. That's the new hashtag. Hey, I mean, if the DOJ follows through, blocks this, Paramount signaling that, hey, we can get past this step. We'll see. All right, we'll see. Technically, Paramount if you line up Netflix and Paramount side by side right now, Paramount is further ahead, even without a deal. They're further ahead with the DOJ than Netflix. That's where we're at right now. And Netflix has to pass this hurdle or they're not going to get this. So. See, Sarandos was on Matt Baloney's The Town podcast. He seemed to indicate that Netflix is out of the Zack Snyder and Russo brothers business. What? I gotta watch that clip. I didn't hear about that. I thought the Netflix Zack Snyder relationship was funny style, like already. And so, give me more about that. I would love to look that up. Yeah. Let me catch up what y'all saying. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Because like I said, again, on my platform, I'm objective. I talk about things with nuance. And so I know, there's people automatically saying, oh, Superman's gonna be trash. It's like, I get it. You just, that's just what you're on. You have a right to just reject it outright, right? I give things a chance. I do. And if I don't like it, I don't like it. And so Superman, like I said, James Gunn Superman, I think James Gunn, he's a good writer. He's an above average writer. But it just DC, I need, when you got Superman, I need more there. I need more of a punch in the film. I can still say I can enjoy it for what it is, but I need more. And Man of Tomorrow, I'm not expecting more. I'm expecting more of what James Gunn does. And just, that's it. Is it even the crappy DC films Flash? Now, first off, Flash is not a crappy film, okay? I watch it probably once a week, okay? So we're of no Flash slander. And just like Black Adam, because there's a personal connection with those films for me. I was getting a lot of information about those films. So you can never make me hate those films. But Superman Returns plane scene. Now, this is interesting. Superman plane scene, is that better? You're talking about in Superman Returns, right? And that's really the one scene that's good in that film to me, Superman Returns. Does that clear everything Gunn did in Superman 2025? I will put the Mr. Terrific scene over the plane scene. I would. But it was kind of like more at stake in the Superman Returns. So that's arguable. That's debatable. Because in James Gunn's Superman, I was going into that film thinking, okay, the kaiju moment was going to be great, and it was just kind of like a gag, right? That was the main thing I was looking forward to for the film. So imagine me in the theater. I'm like, oh, that's it. I just made it to a joke. Oh man, like I kind of wanted more with that. Like I said, Mr. Terrific, great moment there. You may have an argument with that one. Superman Returns plane scene. I'm gonna have to put that one in the chat right there. And looking at the vote, they're saying too many YouTube ads. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that, y'all. That's I definitely don't want this interrupted so much while it's live. But let's put that poll out there about. Let's see. Superman Returns. Plane scene. better than anything in Superman. We'll say James Gunn Superman. Let's throw that out there. Cause like I said, I'm just kind of thinking about it out loud. That's kind of wild. That's kind of wild right there. And the warehouse scene, right? How did I forget the warehouse scene? Like that's the biggest. I named like 7 things. That's how much is in that third act. That's insane, right? Let's see. Yeah, Scott Stuber was definitely a Snyder guy. Shin, I agree with you on that. Can't believe out of all that I didn't mention the warehouse scene. Like that's in the theaters watching the warehouse scene for BVS. Like I've never been so pumped up in a theater. Like because Man of Steel Krypton sequence that was gripping, and I was like, oh, and the fight in Smallville, just everything was Zod and Superman fighting. That I was up there, but that warehouse scene in BVS, man, I was like, nothing is topping this. That was like my favorite moment in theaters for a CBM film ever. Batman warehouse scene. Bar none. You name any other DC moment, Marvel moment. The warehouse scene is better than the whole, people like the end game, where they all come back in the portals. That's great. That's a great moment. Warehouse scene is better than anything. So yeah, I gotta look that up. Popcorn Geek. I gotta see what's that's about there. Cause I may have to do a video on that if he's talking greasy about Zack. We have to see. That plane scene is sick. Clears everything. Everybody saying clears easily. Clears. See, the entirety. See, I wouldn't say the entire Superman Returns film is better, but that scene, I would say, that sequence, plane sequence from Superman Returns, that may have cleared everything in Superman 2025. I may have to agree with you on that. Oh man. Let's see. The bullet in the eye. No, that was corny. That was corny. That bullet in the eye. That was corny. That's crazy. Yeah, Scott Stuber. So yeah, so the point is, again, just we're talking about epic DC and what, I've always believed Zack was going to do DC again. I believe he's teasing this stuff for a reason. I don't think Zack Snyder would be misleading, his core fan base. And it's like I said, these posts are blowing up and, and on top of that, even the haters, everyone ended up liking Zack Snyder's Justice League. Some may have complained a little bit, it's 4 hours and things like that. But whatever issues people felt they had with Man of Steel and BVS, Zack actually corrected that stuff in real time for Zack Snyder's Justice League. So it's like you would have got more, for the rest of the 5-part arc. Zack knew what the audience really wanted, all of us. So it just, yeah. That's just wild. Lighthearted DC content should be compared to Pixar, DreamWorks at the box office. They're competing for the same audience. But serious DC content to make $1 billion says a lot. And that's Batman, right? Batman is a good chance to make $1 billion. So interesting stuff. So yeah, just addressing that though, global phenomenon, exactly. Zack's active, we're active. We're waiting for whatever shoe to drop for Zack to tell us more. Obviously, if I hear something, we're going to, definitely talk about it. But we're going to cover, there's a rumor floating around out there, and we should address it. So it's time for the session, Rumor Roulette, aka Roulette. Let's go. So, Roulette. Let's see. Let's get these commercials out the way here. Oh, it was already out the way. Let's see. So yeah, right now it's about 90% getting two. Oh no, we're talking about the Superman Returns plane scene. We got a few no's, so not everyone thinks the plane scene. But with that question being asked to me live, and I actually, 'cause I was thinking of the Superman 2025, and I'm thinking of what stood out to me, and then judging it with that plane scene, I'm like, that sequence probably does clear everything. That probably did clear that entire film. That's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. Rumor of the night of the show. Now, leading up to this, we talked about the possibility of Zack Snyder Dark Knight Returns, right? There was some whisperings and rumors that Zack Snyder wanted to make that happen. I've always been told Ben Affleck would do the Dark Knight Returns Batfleck film now or 10 years from now. Ben feels like he can do this film at any time if things falls in place. And then that story was talking about the potential of Zack Snyder doing Dark Knight Returns on Netflix. And if Ben is involved, Ben and with Matt Damon, Artist Equity, they are building a nice little relationship with Netflix. The Rip film, with that whole crime drama type film, that genre, that's, peak entertainment, in my opinion. And so maybe they'll do more projects, Artist Equity with Netflix. You get Zack, you get Ben, you want to do the Batfleck Dark Knight Returns on Netflix, right? So the possibility has been chattered about, has been rumored about. I haven't heard anything directly when we talked about the possibility of this. I still haven't heard. All I've leaned on was what I've been told for the last couple of years, that Zack will do DC again. I totally believe Paramount would do, again, Justice League 2 in theaters. Netflix, I thought maybe you got a Nightmare series or something. I don't know about theaters. I don't know, right? So after that story came out about Zack Snyder want to do Dark Knight Returns, after that, Zack post on Instagram, right? We just had this on Instagram. He posted. Let's throw this up here real quick. Move this out the way. All right, he posted this Potter thing, and he had Dark Knight Returns in the back. I was like, oh. I'm like, Zack, everyone's been talking about Dark Knight Returns all on social media. Zack knows what his fandom's talking about. And Zack posts, hey, I got some clay works here in my studio. And you got Dark Knight Returns just sitting. So I was like, oh, I think this is real, that Zack will want to do some version of a Dark Knight Returns. It could just be furthering the Batfleck story. It could be, because I always said at the end of the Snyder Cut, at the end, Zack had Batfleck on the Bat tank, and it looked like the mutants from Dark Knight Returns was tied up on the ground. So I was like, Zack is hinting at Dark Knight Returns, because the Bat tank is from Dark Knight Returns. And the mutants, it looks like they're the mutants. So I was like, is Batman's story about to go? What's going on here, right? So with all that speculation, and Zack posts this, again, that's the Dark Knight Returns on the left there. I was like, hey, this could be some real traction that Zack wants to do this, right? So So I was with that rumor. I was like, okay, let's see what happens. Now, the further in this rumor is that it's being said, now this is a small screen, so shout out to my friends at Small Screen. I don't think this report is coming directly from them. I think they're covering someone else's rumor with this via Screen Brief. So I don't know how reliable they are, but they're saying Zack Snyder has already pitched a Watchmen-style solo Batfleck movie to Netflix. So it's a progression of the rumor. I believe, look, Zack already said he would do a Dark Knight Returns. Now, will it be a straight page to screen like Watchmen? I don't know, right? And obviously, if you have been involved, I'm feeling this needs to be connected to the Snyderverse. Like, this has to be something. Is this the Batfleck movie? Because we got no other details, right? Is this the story? Are they going to adapt the story that Ben wrote? And maybe that story hints towards Dark Knight Returns. I don't know, right? We'll see with that. But I do believe this Dark Knight Returns story is real. Zack already said he would do a story like that. And he posted that on Instagram after the rumors hit. Now it's being said Zack has already pitched the idea. That's interesting. Now, that's, again, hinging on if Netflix gets through this tough DOJ process. Like, it's like, will they make it to even be able to do DC on Netflix? That's one thing. Also, too, I mean, again, the Paramount side of this is, I think we're going all out theaters. And I think you're talking about JO2 in theaters. And I think you still could do a Batfleck or a Dark Knight Returns with Paramount as well, obviously. But this is a rumor saying, again, a step further, that it appears Zack is already talking to people about doing this film. We got another screenshot. This from the Maximus Decimus account. Now, again, this account just says interesting stuff. So I'm just bringing this up because, again, this is talking about the progression of that rumor. First, let me check the chat real quick. Yeah, the Ripple's fire. The Ripple stuff. Whoever said Ben's too old for Batman's line. Oh yeah, like I said, Ben did 2030. Ben Affleck will do Dark Knight Returns. 10 years from now, he'll do it if the opportunity. If people allowed Michael Keaton to come back at like 70, and I saw a lot of people getting excited online, like, oh yeah, Keaton, he's kicking butt again. You saying Ben's too old? Come on now. Don't do that. And of course, you got stuntmen and stuff. Don't do that. So, okay, let's go. Let's see what they're saying here. Maximus Decimus says a bold new Batman vision may be taking shape outside the DCU. Now, as I go through this, I will chime in, just my takes on this, right? So, and even if I'm hearing anything, that's what rumor roulette is, right? Zack Snyder has reportedly pitched a standalone Watchmen-style project inspired by The Dark Knight Returns. Now, I will say, like I said, I'm leaning more towards, if Zack wants to do Dark Knight Returns, that it won't be just a straight up like page to screen. I just feel it's not going to be directly that story, but hinting heavily towards it, right? That's just what I feel. It says the concept is said to be frame accurate, dark, completely separate from his previous DC work. So this account is saying it won't be connected to the 5-part arc or to whatever the Batfleck movie that Ben wrote. How do we feel about, again, this is rumor, right? I haven't received any confirmation one way or the other on this. This is a conversation we kind of have to have. Like, how will we feel about that? If it's not connected, it's a standalone project. Now, obviously, I would take it. And I would say, I'm just going to kind of say it. I wonder if you even use Ben for this. I wonder if you just probably don't use Ben. I'm just throwing ideas out there. This is interesting. I mean, again, this is according to what they're saying. That the idea focuses on an older, battle-worn Batman, with fans hoping Ben Affleck could return as a hardened, experienced Dark Knight. This version would emphasize psychology, moral conflict, emotional weight over traditional superhero spectacle. So a stripped-down film. I mean, obviously, I want Ben to do this. Like, I'm just thinking out loud. But I believe, like I said, I believe Zack will do a Dark Knight Returns project. I just think the details, maybe they don't have all these details right. So Snyder's growing partnership with Netflix. We're growing. I'm about to watch that podcast about Matt Baloney and what is it? Sarandos was on there. I'm about to watch that because I don't feel like no growing partnership with Netflix. Because there's fuel speculation that this R-rated style project could finally become possible. Free from shared universe rules, the story could explore deeper themes and more mature storytelling. Let's just say, because the shape that this rumor is taking, they're leaning towards saying is not connected. So I mean, I would take it. I'm just going to say it now. Like, I would take this. Okay. Like, I'm not mad if that's true. I'm just worried about this Netflix partnership. They know something we don't know, because I don't know. I don't know about this Netflix partnership. Because for now, the film remains a dream project. Okay. But if it ever moves forward, it could redefine Batman on screen, become one of the most daring adaptations ever attempted. And their source is Entertainment Insider reports and fan community speculation. Well, that's I don't like those sources, but so my take overall though is that I do believe, you know, Zack said it himself, he would do Dark Knight Returns. I do believe there's some kind of motion with that project, whatever form that takes, and it's Zack that's kind of hinting towards stuff that's, you know, leading me to believe that part. Overall, that report, this rumor, I'm about to look into this Netflix relationship, but Screen Brief is like Australia's deadline. Why would it be separate? That's kind of dumb. Yeah. I said I'm a little iffy on this one as far as the report that we just read. The idea of this project, yes. I believe there's something behind it. And that's what I said with this Rumor Roulette series, that obviously if I hear something, I try to interject. But also, too, a lot of these rumors, and I'm going to pull this back up here. A lot of these rumors, what I'm learning is sometimes part of it could actually be true. And then they're just kind of throwing stuff against the wall around it. But they may actually get one real line of information. In this story here, what part of this could be true? I'm not sure if Zack, especially if he uses Ben, I don't think Zack will make this separate. Like, he could make this and it would have to be tied in somehow. So that's the part that I'm kind of pushing back against with this report. A standalone project, I believe that could be a case. But again, it could just be kind of like a separate story, but it's still in that world, right? That's kind of where I'm at with that. Y'all let me know in the comments below, whether live on replay, how we feel. This rumor is progressing. I believe, like I said, there's something behind it, because Zack, threw up that Dark Knight Returns post after the online buzz came out about Dark Knight Returns. So I believe that part of it. The details, I'm not sure about all these details, but we'll keep digging on that overall. Any last minute comments or questions, throw it in the chat. We're approaching 3 hours. So again, not quite Snyder Cut level with these streams. I kind of cut it off before we get close to 4 hours. But we had a lot of stories to catch up on. And this Paramount Netflix thing is getting very interesting. We'll see, what's the next shoe to drop in that story as well. As I mentioned before, since this last month's been crazy with me as far as work, my schedule's been crazy, but we're trying to hone in on Saturdays to do these streams. I'll see if I have to start a little earlier, or maybe we keep it late like we got it right now. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. We'll play with the start time. More uploads for members. I had an exclusive members video up recently. Become a member, it's just $1.99 a month. You get exclusive videos, reports, expanded coverage, kind of stuff that you kind of normally see me publicly on the streams. You get just more of that with members. So that exclusive video is already up about YouTube's argument. I really get into how YouTube actually has a good argument, but now what we're learning is that it may not matter. But we'll check out that video, memberships, and then Patreon. I have more. I'll be doing more rumor roulettes on Patreon as well. Be some on a short form channel, sylabdul Geek. Also, all the platforms will pretty much be getting hit with rumor roulettes. So definitely check out what you're ever comfortable with, and we're going to continue to throw out what's out there on the appropriate platform. So appreciate the support. Become a Patreon. Find your level of support as well. Much appreciated. Let's catch up what we're saying in the chat before we close this out. Let's see. There's no growing partnership with Netflix. That's what I'm saying, bro. I'm like, that report's a little cap. But like I said, behind it all, I believe Dark Knight Returns is coming. I believe Zack's going to do some kind of standalone project. I do believe that. Those details, though, wasn't sounding good. It wasn't adding up. And yeah, like I said, if Ben is not involved with it, I'm more okay with the whole, just a standalone. I'm totally down with that. And I think he can make that film less than $50 million. I really believe that. They could do a really stripped down version. So everyone's going to lose it when Batman throws a mutant into the electric sign at the mall. Save and carry. Oh, man. Most people, because what I'm learning, the story. So definitely, I always try to lean onto the books I read before. But also, too, some people, they like watching the animated. They kind of catch up with the story through the animated. There's a 2-part animated film if you want to get the grasp of the Dark Knight Returns story. But this year was the 40th anniversary, I believe, of Dark Knight Returns. So I think everyone, if you're a comic head, everyone go get a copy of it. They'll probably sell like commemorative copies. So it'll be pretty cheap, relatively cheap to get the Dark Knight Returns and check out that story. It's a classic for a reason. I would definitely take any Snyder Dark Knight Returns, but I want it to be Ben. I agree. Yeah, this is what Jovic. This is exactly what I feel Zack would do. And saying, okay, we can start with like a low, like where you got Clayface for $40 million. You could make Dark Knight Returns for $40 million or less. You can make it street level, do that, and then go ahead and reintroduce people back into that world by using Batman, right? That's the draw. Batman's the main draw. Superman is a draw. You have Batman, that's going to get people's attention, and then you just lead it right back into jail too. That'd be perfect. So you found I'm about to watch, as soon as I'm done with this stream, I'm about to watch that podcast that y'all was talking about with Sarandos. Yeah, Monday. If we find out anything Monday, I'll probably have a video up Tuesday morning about it. We'll see. 'Cause during the week, I work a little later now. So I won't fire up a stream late weekdays, unless it's like a holiday or something, or if I'm off and not busy or out of town or something. But I got to make sure I'm keeping up these updates. Like I said, there's a lot of stories I had to get to. So I want to make sure I'm covering this in real time. We'll see what happens Monday. JT says, a few years ago, you had a guest that predicted the end of the Kurtzman era of Trek. With Academy doing well, any thoughts on covering Trek? Great stream. Yeah, so what I'll do, my main streams will be, and appreciate you, JT. Appreciate you seeing you again. For sure. That was Keith. That was Keith from Pop Culture Minefield. Friend of the channel, longtime friend, Mikey Sutton, late great Mikey Sutton. And stories like that. So my main streams would always be, what we've gotten used to, the CBM Geek analysis, mostly DC popular topics. I'll probably play with other topics. Could mix in some Star Trek stuff. Definitely members would get more conversations too. And I'll probably get Keith back on here and we'll kind of chop it up about it. But if Star Trek has like a real popular story, then I'll probably put it on the main podcast. If it's just an interesting topic, but maybe it's not a lot of traction with the story, I'll probably do like a members coverage for it. So yeah, just knowing stuff that y'all like to talk about, I'll definitely, cover it. But just, in general, I love talking about the business behind it, the box office about stuff. Like I said, always DC. I'm always going to bring up DC and popular Marvel stuff. And we'll mix in some Star Trek stuff when we get a chance, for sure. So you said it'll be a bit better if it's earlier. Okay, I'll definitely consider that. But it's great to see you again in any case. Appreciate you, Jovic. Definitely appreciate you. We'll play with the start time a little bit, for sure. We'll play with it. We'll probably do one a little earlier next week. Let's see. Oh, you already know. Now I'm catching up with DCKO. This past month, like I said, I've been behind on everything, on doing videos, on getting comic books. Like I got like a huge order of comic books to pick up because I'm behind with DCKO, Absolute Batman. Those are like my favorite things right now. Catching up with some Marvel stuff, some of the Marvel stuff that can be good. So yeah, I got a lot, and I'm debating when I catch up with my comic books, again, if those conversations would end up on YouTube members here or Patreon. I'm gonna kind of see just what better platform to discuss that, because there's a lot of stuff I want to discuss. I want to do a lot more reviews on shows, but it won't be like on my podcast, like my public streams. So yeah, we'll figure all that out. But I got a lot to catch up with. So if Zach does Bats on Netflix, I would want a series kind of like ZSJO was broken up. Yeah. Mikey Verse Forever, for sure. Yeah, and the Rogue shows, I think, YouTube tried, when YouTube tried to kill my channel, when was that? That was over a year ago. And I thought they zapped all my Mikey Sutton videos, but I believe they're all back up now. Some videos they locked up, but I think I was able to restore most of Mikey's videos. So for sure. Let's see. Story time is wild. Yeah. Did you see my Superman 3 to 4 comments? What? Let's see. Superman. I don't know what you said. Yeah, I didn't see what you said. Oh, in comparison. Well, yeah, you already, the whole plane scene from Superman. Hey, you won, okay? Like everyone agreed with you, okay? If that's the part you're talking about. But yeah. And actually, before we close this, are you saying no? Okay, I don't know what you're saying then. Superman Returns plane scene better than anything, and James Gunn Superman. The poll, 80%, 86% that Superman Returns plane scene clears Clears Superman 2025. Everything about it. That's crazy. Because I see in the weird way, because I think Superman 2025, I think, is a better film overall than Superman Returns. But that one plane scene, yeah, I think it's better than anything. And good morning to Jovic. We're gonna go and slide on out of here. Again, plenty more content to come. My schedule will be this right now, at least hopefully through spring. We'll see what happens when the summer hits. Because like again, my schedule always changes. So appreciate y'all finding this stream. We may start a little earlier next week. A lot. Keep your eye open for coverage during the week. It'll be uploads on the short form channel as well. Patreons, members, everything. Says I was saying that 3 or 4 probably the worst than Returns. Now I like Superman 3 and 4 better. I definitely like Superman 4 better than Superman Returns. Superman 3 ain't that good. I agree with you on that. But yeah, my point is Gunn had full control budget, so I don't know how Gunn fumbled that compared to, let's say, 3. I would say Superman 2025 is better than Superman 3. Superman 4, Quest for Peace, I grew up rewatching that film. Again, that's another film you can't make me hate. That's better. But Superman 3, though, I'm not too fond of that one. So that's interesting. Interesting stuff. Appreciate you, Shin. More of the business. Again, CBM Geek Entertainment Analysis. I'm always going to be objective with nuance. We're going to talk the business behind it, box office, and, obviously the stuff that we like overall. So real good seeing everybody in the live. Some OGs. Batman Forever. Oh, yeah. No, hey, and I know people think I'm capping saying this. Batman and Robin, it's a good film, man. Like, I think I'm more entertained by Batman and Robin than Superman 2025. I am. Batman and Robin is not a bad film. And again, I said this before. If you're like, oh man, that's cap, Batman and Robin, they did too much for toys and colors. Just watch that opening sequence of Batman and Robin. If it doesn't grab you those first 10 minutes, then okay, man, you win. But Batman and Robin, watch that opening scene. I may go watch it tonight. I may go to sleep watching it. I'm not going to sleep on purpose. I want to see it. But anyway, let me get out of here, man. Much love to Silv Nation. Again, more to come. Stay tuned.
Watchmen forever vigilant, steady watching and listening, disciplined, militant, killing these dudes that started visiting. What's the latest word, yo, Sil? We need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, Sil. We need to know the ins and outs. Who's walking out, buying in? We need to know your thoughts on what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. One hell of a show. Let's go.